Hey, what's up? I've had some computer issues because of power outage, but I'm here now. I don't know how that'll affect the viewership. I was supposed to do a Patreon show tonight, but I can't even get my camera to work. It's all working now, though, I believe. I hope you can hear me. It'd still be messed up. I don't know. Apparently our whole city, everybody I've talked to today, even Oliver said it happened at his school. I didn't get to the office till late. But even Oliver said it happened at his school. I talked to my sisters earlier today. They both had power outages. So I guess everybody had a power outage, the whole town. Usually it's like, one geographical area, but even like where I live in the school is a different area. Where my sister lives is even more different area. And even those places apparently had power outages. I'll be right back.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now.
All right, I'm here. I don't know if it's DBS. I didn't have power. I couldn't tell.
Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the Dow. We've been
It seemed to be an outage, though.
let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves. We won't let the world burn away. Burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race.
Uh-oh, there's a 2009 KLR 650.
Kill it anyway.
$3,000. I might end up with one of those things. It's not high on my list. Like, I've got a bunch of other shit. I probably need to buy more than this, but it'd be cool.
And we feel
always works. They're making a new internet, is what I hear. I mean, they strictly refute that claim, but I still hear it for some reason. Oh, I bet you, I might have thought of this for the first time ever before. I bet you my glasses aren't on. They are not. Boom, I got it fixed before you guys saw me over here with my lizard eyes. Being a reptilian and all. All right, here we go. Let's roll the intro.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. Guys, I'm sorry for being late. Like I was saying during the pre-show, we had, I got to fix my green screen filter. I put the green screen back on the back of my seat because I didn't like it like blended into my shirt, but I got to fix the filter on it. We had a power outage. Like the whole, I guess the entire town had a power outage. And
Bray Nike just resubscribed for 15 months. Wouldn't be anywhere else. Love your shows.
And from that, thank you very much for the resubscription. Thank you for being here. And from that, it messed up. My computer was on at the time. Oftentimes, I'll leave it on because when I reboot, I have to open everything up, back up, all the programs, get them all set the way I want. Some of the things don't seem to save the way I want them to save. But anyways, the computer was on at the time, and we had a power outage. I'm assuming the whole town because, like I said, I've talked to my sisters. And they had power outage. I've talked to my sisters, and I talked to or Oliver's school had it. Both my sisters, Oliver's school had it, and then we had it where we were at the campground. So it seems like we've had quite a big power outage, I would assume. But either way, I got all the cameras added back to my multicam program. They all seem to be working. There's a couple more things I have to fix, like obviously the green screen background isn't right. It's gray behind me instead of being black, but we'll fix that as well. So sorry for being late. I think I've got everything straightened out, but for some reason audio doesn't play or something doesn't happen. That's probably on my end because we had the power outage and my computer was on at the time. So we'll get there. We'll work our way through it, but we'll see. I saw someone shared that there's a new court order possibly in the Phil case, but it's in the Phil and Bree case. I just saw someone posted that. We'll try to check that after midnight and see if it drops. Anything else? Oliver is doing a fundraiser. I will show this. This was pretty sweet. If you want to support the show, oh shit, I'm like see-through. I need to turn that thing off, don't I? Oliver's school is doing a fundraiser, and it's for the local animal shelter. So they apparently, that's main record. Where's main camera? Apparently, Mariah's family donated some money for the fundraiser, and as part of that, let's turn this off so I'm not see through. There we go. And as part of that, Mariah went and bought some more dog food. They're collecting dog food, cat food, blankets, and stuff like that. And Oliver just thinks it's the coolest thing in the world. I don't know why he's so into it suddenly, but she took this picture. Let me see if I can pull it up. She took this picture, and Oliver's fucking loving it. Look at this. Oh, let's see. There we go. Oliver loves it. So I think they donated like $100 a piece or something. And then they went and bought more dog food and stuff. And it's like a contest. So whichever group, Liam looks like he hates it, but whichever group raises the most donations for like the animal shelter, they get a party or a prize or something. And Oliver's all into it, man. He even Mariah even recorded a video of him here. Let's see. So is it Bendy that the school he goes to has like house? Oh, no audio. Yeah, that figures. Anyways, is it Bendy? He's gonna say in this video, or Mariah's gonna say in this video, they have houses like Harry Potter houses, and that's the house that he's in for his like class.
What? We're gonna go buy more stuff for the animal shelter, because guess what? Grammy and Papa James and Grandma and Grandpa gave you $100 each. So you have $300 extra to put for the animal shelter.
What?
Do you think Isabindi will win?
Yes, yes, yes.
What do you say? What do you say? Say love you guys. Ollie. Say love you guys.
Love you guys.
All right.
Yeah, that's Ollie. Ollie needs an operation. Dr. Hasbro says it needs to happen pretty quick. Dr. Hasbro's on top of it. I got some TikTok videos and stuff I want to show. Give me a second to work with my camera, so I can get my chair off the background. That was the whole point of throwing the cover back on it. So bear with me for just a second while I fix this. You should still be able to hear me, but there's not gonna be anything in the background. What I need to do is turn off all my green screens, filters. Let me turn off all these. Hold on just a second. Close, and then go to this one and do filters. Oh, I can leave on color correction. Okay, there, chroma key. Now, I need to, okay, that one's good. That one's fine. I need to add a chroma key. Okay. Color, custom color. Turn it off. Select screen color. Where's the color picker? Oh, pick screen color. Okay. Damn it, that's not right. Let me move this over here. Custom color. Select color. Pick a screen color. I need this mint color. Right there. Okay. Perfect. That worked great. Damn, that mint color's too close to my skin color, isn't it? Let's see what that happens when I turn them all back on. Still not there. Still not there. Turn them back off. Sorry. I'm working on it. Working on it, guys. I'm working on it. Select color. Oh, wrong one. Chroma key 3. Select color. Pick screen color. Where's a kind of a darker color right beside my beard, isn't it? Okay. How about that? This used to work so freaking good. Now it won't work. Are you kidding me? Damn it, it's almost there. What is this one? I might have to undo it all. Jesus Christ. Gonna end up making me see through if I fuck around too much. It doesn't matter. Forget it. Forget it. It even touched it. I'll do it later while we're off stream. Now we're back. Let me just make myself not see-through now. Filters, turn that one off. Close. All right, I'm not see-through, right? Yes, I'm not see-through. All right, back to the main show. All right, I got a couple things. One of the things is the reason is because that's actually the wrong color, green. I have the right color green, but I got it set up for when like Bull and Atsuko was here. That's the one that I need to use, but it's fine. We'll do it later. All right, so I saw something terrifying on TikTok today. That's nothing new. I always see something terrifying. I always see something terrifying on TikTok. So let's listen to this. Shut up, Kathy. Kathy Banana.
I need to get an EMS. Try 911. What's that? Just an emergency. Yeah, so I need to get an EMS truck to. I picked a deceased patient. I picked a deceased patient up for the from the house. The mother told me she was deceased. She's still breathing, and she's breathing out of her mouth, and her stomach is still breathing. So her mother said,
Excuse me? I picked up a deceased patient for the funeral home. Her mother told me she was deceased. I picked her up and she's still breathing out of her mouth and stomach.
They said she's going to be breathing about the next hour or so, but what's the address?
I told her mother she was still breathing, and her mother told me she's still going to be breathing for like the next hour or so. What? What is that? What do you mean? What do you mean she's going to be breathing for the next hour or so? Like what, your poison hasn't kicked in?
From the house, the mother told me she was deceased. She's still breathing, and she's breathing out of her mouth, and her stomach is still breathing. So her mother said she's going to be breathing about the next hour or so. But what's the address?
Her mother said, which we're going to find out is some EMTs, said she would be breathing for the next hour or so.
And she's still breathing. And what's the cross street over there? James Cole Funeral Home. I could meet him up at the front. Bring him to the rear here. And what are you, the coroner? I'm the funeral home. I'm the one that brought her in. Oh, you the funeral home?
So the 911 dispatcher is probably the worst dispatcher I've ever heard in my life. So he's like, "What's the cross street?" With the James Cole Funeral Home. So you need a coroner? No, I am the funeral home. I need what's the opposite of a coroner? I need the opposite. I deal with the dead bodies. Got a live one here. I need the opposite of a coroner.
Yeah, I'm probably with the funeral home. The person's supposed to be deceased. They declare deceased. She's still breathing out of her mouth and out her stomach. And I got you. And how old is?
So at first I thought maybe this guy just panicked because there are noises and sounds and gurgles and I need an ambulance. There are things that happen with a dead body, sometimes days after, like releasing air and stuff. It was terrifying taking my dad off life support. And he tried for a long time to breathe on his own. It just wasn't there. He just didn't have the capacity. His heart couldn't stand up. Even though his lungs and his brain, everything else was still working, his heart couldn't take it up. But no, she's like legit still breathing. Like not like just air escaping, not like a gasp, not like a snoring. She's legit breathing.
How old is the patient? 12, 14 years old. A young girl? Yep. Okay.
A young girl?
Is she awake?
I don't know who the fuck this dispatcher is, but he's bad. How old is the patient? 12 to 14. A young girl? You got a young girl down there. We're going to send an ambulance.
So is she awake? Is the question. they got problems. Her eyes are open. They said they stay open, her eyes open, but they said it's her family said she got some different, you know. Okay.
So he's trying to say her eyes are open, but what he's trying to say is they're saying, is she awake? What he's trying to say is like, look, she has issues, disabilities. I couldn't tell if she was awake or not. Like, I can tell she's breathing, but if you're asking me, can I have a conversation with her? I can't. So she has, I think I read on here that she had cerebral palsy, and that he's trying to say the family told me like she had issues. I don't even know if I could communicate with her. You know what I mean? Like maybe she's just in this like locked in state. I don't know, but she's breathing.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Stay with me. Okay. Is her breathing completely normal? It's breathing like she's trying to get their breath, and it's coming out of her mouth too. I've been doing this like 32 years. I've never had a situation like this before. Okay. And the funeral home said, don't leave her here because she's right. Breathing. Right. Okay. You're right. Yeah.
And a funeral home said, don't leave. So he's like, I'm assuming he's like contracted medical transport, maybe, because he says at one point, I'm with the funeral home, which he is if he's contracted under them. But he also said the funeral home said, don't leave her here if she's breathing. We don't take the live ones.
I want you to say now every single time she takes a breath in. I want you to say now. I was at the front trying to meet them. Let me go. Okay. All right.
This is damn near impossible. This is going to be impossible. He's trying to get how many respirations because he's trying to rule out that this isn't just like air escaping and stuff, but it's going to be impossible. These people are astonished. They went and picked up a dead body and it's alive. Like they're not going to get this right.
I go back to the front. Okay. He said, how many times is she breathing? She constantly breathing in and out? She constantly breathing in and out.
She's constantly breathing in and out. That should have been enough right there.
What? No, listen to me. I need you to look at her. I need you to look at her. I'm coming back to her now. And every time she takes a breath, in, say the word now. Now.
Morgan Freeman's discount cousin or whatever is the worst dispatcher I've ever heard in my life.
Breathing short breath and her tongue is moving. Just say now.
She's breathing short breaths and her tongue is moving in her mouth as well.
Every time she breathes in. Now. Say now every time she breathes in. Huh? Say now every time she breathes in.
There's a bunch of people talking to him.
Now. She's constantly breathing. My tongue is moving. Okay. I'm sending paramedics to help you now. Stay on the line. I'll tell you exactly what to do next.
Stay on the line. I'll tell you exactly what to do next. So I found the news story for this, and it's actually from 2020. Listen, 911 call released of Detroit funeral home employee discovering woman alive. The employee said Tamisha Beauchamp was breathing and her tongue was moving when she was found alive after being declared dead. On the phone with a 911 dispatcher one day last month, a man at Detroit's James H. Cole Funeral Home. James H. Cole Home for Funerals. I'm sorry. That's a weird way to do it. The Detroit's James H. Cole Home for Funerals was in disbelief. The body his staff had been slated to tend to, whom authorities had identified as Tamisha Beauchamp, was not as dead as they'd been told. Still breathing, he said. I've been doing this like 32 years. I've never had a situation like this before, the man told the dispatcher. The nearly 6-minute tape supports what authorities and investigators have revealed in the unusual case that has drawn widespread attention and led to discipline for some of the emergency personnel involved. The recording of the 911 call was obtained by the Detroit News on Wednesday through a Freedom of Information Act request. Officials have said the Southfield Fire Department responded to a call at 7:35 a.m. August 23rd for an unresponsive woman at a home in the city. 4 paramedic firefighters treated Beauchamp, who has been described as having cerebral palsy from birth and is now on 3 breathing treatments daily. The woman suffered what was apparently a seizure during her normal morning routine, and attorney Jeffrey Feiger, who is said attorney Jeffrey Feiger, who is representing the family. The medics tried life-saving efforts on the woman for about 30 minutes, but for 30 minutes, she showed no signs of life, said Southfield Fire Chief Johnny Menifee. A Providence Hospital doctor pronounced Beauchamp dead after one of the responders made a telephone report. She had been unresponsive and showed no signs of life. So it's not necessarily the doctor's fault. When they apparently their policy is when they go to declare someone, a paramedic can't do it like an actual doctor has to do it. So they called in a report to a doctor and said no signs of life. 30 minutes. We need a declaration. Dr. Clinton said, okay, if this is true, the best I can say is that she's dead. Declared dead. Despite concerns expressed by Beauchamp's relatives that she appeared to still be breathing and had a pulse, they were told that was normal and a result of medication, and that the patient's chest may move again, but she is deceased. Beauchamp was taken to Cole's Funeral Home, Northwest Chapel on Schaefer in Detroit. There, according to a Southfield police report, while they were picking up the body, they noticed the patient's chest moving. The chest was rising and falling very fast, and the patient gasped. On the 911 call, a funeral home staffer placed was recorded at about 11:43 a.m.
Seen Gregorian just resubscribed for 9 months.
Thank you for the resubscription. I appreciate it. By the way, this is hours later when they called 911 because they were called at 7 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning. This is 11:45. The man told the dispatcher he had picked a deceased patient up, but she was still breathing out her mouth and stomach. When the dispatcher asked if the woman was awake, the staffer said her eyes were open, but stayed that way due to what the family described as a medical condition. Detroit officials edited out the details the man relayed. The dispatcher told the worker he had gone to the front of the funeral home building to wait for medics to check how often the woman breathed. The man said she was breathing short breaths and had been constantly breathing. Her tongue is moving. Beauchamp has since been hospitalized, and her family retained Feiger to investigate possible negligence by authorities at the scene. The 4 medics involved were placed on leave last month, and the state has suspended their license. They are now suing the state and local officials, alleging the medical licenses were suspended without due process. So the paramedics are suing the state and the government, and the family's suing the government as well. They're both being sued. I don't know if, hold on, let me see if there's been any updates. Because while I was looking for this story, I figured, man, this has got to be super rare. And it is. But I immediately found 2 other stories. Give me just a second. Let me see. Court on July 27th of this year, court rules EMT can't be sued after the EMTs can't be sued. Court rules. Hold on, let me see. I have to unlock this because I don't pay for the Washington Post. Yeah, bear with me. Michigan paramedics and EMTs declared 20-year-old Tamisha Beauchamp. So she's not as young as they say, but she looks really young. 20-year-old Tamisha Beauchamp, because the guy says 12 or 14, somewhere around there, but she looks young, probably because she's got cerebral palsy all her life. But she was still breathing when an embalmer unzipped the body bag. So she was zipped up in a body bag. Almost 3 years ago, Michigan EMT and paramedics responded to a call for help for an unresponsive woman with cerebral palsy. After performing CPR and other resuscitative acts for about 30 minutes, the first responders declared 20-year-old Tamisha Beauchamp dead. But when a funeral home embalmer unzipped her body bag later that day, Beauchamp was gasping for air. She was taken to the hospital where she died of a brain injury about 6 weeks later. So she survived another 6 weeks. The brain injury might have been from the seizure and a fucking lack of oxygen. Her death prompted Beauchamp's family to sue the city of Southfield and his 4 first responders who declared Beauchamp dead, claiming their false judgment contributed to Beauchamp's fatal brain injury. But on Wednesday, an appellate court ruled in favor of the first responders, quashing the lawsuit. The U.S. Court of Appeals judges in Cincinnati ruled that the first responders were entitled to a qualified immunity, a legal doctrine that protects government officials from liability in civil lawsuits unless it's proven that they violated a constitutional right. Robert Kemenick, an attorney representing Beauchamp's estate, told the Washington Post that the opinion speaks for itself, but declined to comment further. Kaylee Henderson, an attorney representing the city of Southfield and his first responders, said in a statement that the decision was a correct statement of the law. This case should have never been filed in federal court, she said, and there was no grounds for it. In August 2022, Erica Lattimore visited her daughter's room in Southfield, Michigan home to get Beauchamp medication. Lattimore noticed Beauchamp was unresponsive and tried to give her oxygen before calling 911. 4 first responders arrived minutes later performing CPR and ventilating Beauchamp with a bag, valve, mask. They soon declared Beauchamp dead, despite her family members noticing that she was breathing and had a pulse. The first responders said the supposed signs of life were post-mortem reaction to medication, according to court documents. Lattimore asked a Detroit funeral home to collect Beauchamp's body, and an employee wrapped Beauchamp in a sheet and put her in a body bag and placed her body in a car. About 15 minutes later, at the funeral home, an embalmer unzipped the bag to find Beauchamp gasping for air and her chest moving. The embalmer called 911, and different paramedics took her to the hospital, where she was diagnosed with anoxic brain injury. She remained in a vegetative state and was placed on a ventilator. So basically, the lack of oxygen for however long she wasn't breathing caused the brain injury. In the aftermath, the Southfield Fire Department said in a statement that it followed all appropriate city, county, and state protocols and procedures. While the first responders' medical licenses were suspended, they have since been reinstated. In October of 2020, attorneys representing Beauchamp's family sued the city and the 4 first responders for $50 million, claiming they violated Beauchamp's civil rights. All of this could have been avoided, the law firm said in a statement at the time, had more care been taken. Later that month, Beauchamp died at the hospital. In July of 2022, a U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan judge first dismissed the lawsuit against the city first responders, citing qualified immunity. Beauchamp's estate and the decision appealed the decision next month, but the appeals court affirmed the court. So it both times it's been thrown out. It's kind of hard. Like if she didn't have any signs of life, it's hard to say. It's crazy that they say she didn't have any signs of life for 30 minutes, that she suddenly came back with them. But I also don't think they should have said the bullshit like, oh, it's just from the medication. I don't want to get too into it because I'll get upset. But the doctors explaining the condition that my father was in when he passed away was pretty wild. So like, he still had all of his brain activity. He was even would even take commands, right? He would even take commands. Like he would wait his blood pressure. They were artificially keeping his blood pressure up with a pump and with medicine. So he would wake up and you could say, squeeze my hand. He would try to talk to you. He would try to tell you he didn't like he was on a vent. He didn't like the vent in his throat. And then he would fall back asleep because he would use all of his energy and his blood pressure would like bottom out again. He'd fall back asleep. But he was artificially being supported. My dad didn't want any life support. So it wasn't his heart that was pumping his blood. It was an actual pump, which is wild. You think of someone on life support as not having like any capacity for themselves, but this was the opposite. Like he was responsive. He understood. He knew what was going on. He kind of, even though he was kind of out of it, he talked to us. He recognized my sister's voice. And heard her, like she was very upset and making the noise of being upset, and it like triggered him to try to like get up out of the bed. It was crazy, but it wasn't his heart. He had an Apella pump put in. But either way, this shit's crazy. Then while I was looking this up, I found this. Woman mistakenly pronounced dead, gasped for air after being found by Iowa funeral home staff. This says, an Iowa care facility is facing fines totaling $10,000 after mistakenly pronouncing a 66-year-old resident dead and having her transported to a funeral home where she woke up gasping for air. A new report from the Iowa Department of Inspections, now this is in Iowa, of Inspections and Appeals released on February 1st, 2023, and first reported by CBS affiliate KCCI, details of the series of events that led up to the woman being mistakenly pronounced dead. The unidentified resident, who had been at the Glen Oaks Alzheimer's Special Care Center since December 2021, was moved into hospice care at the facility on December 28, 2022 because of senile degeneration of the brain. While in hospice care, comfort measures were taken. Over the course of several days, staff members recorded occurrences of diminished lung sounds and minor seizures. On January 3rd, 2023, the woman was pronounced dead at 6 a.m. after an employee identified as Staff C said that she did not feel a pulse and found the resident was not breathing at the time. The staff members notified a licensed practical nurse, an LPN, The woman's family was alerted and a local funeral home was called. A funeral director arrived shortly after 7:30 a.m. and with the assistance of another nurse identified as LPND, the resident was placed in a body bag which was zipped shut. The funeral home director left the facility shortly after 8:26 a.m. Employees at the Ankeny Funeral Home and Crematory unzipped the bag. They observed the resident's chest moving as she gasped for air. The funeral home then called 911 and the care facility. When EMS responded, they were able to record a pulse and breathing, but there was no eye movement and no verbal response. That same day, the resident was returned to the care facility. She passed away early in the morning on January 5th. So this would be 2 days later. With her family at her side, the report said. We have been in close communication with the family of the resident. We have just completed an investigation by the Department of Inspections and Appeals regarding the matter. Lisa Eastman, the facility's executive director, told CBS News. We care deeply for our residents and remain fully committed to supporting their end-of-life care. All employees undergo regular training so they can best support end-of-life care and the death of our residents. The facility faces 2 state violations from the DIA, which could result in a $10,000 fine. And they did get a $10,000 fine. That was how the story started, the update. It says they're facing a $10,000 fine. Now, from that same story, I was led to another story at the same fucking place. The same funeral or the same old folks home or whatever, nursing home. An 82-year-old woman was pronounced dead at a New York nursing home, but found to be breathing 3 hours later. The funeral home where she had been taken, authorities said the incident happened just days after a similar mishap came to light in Iowa. Oh, maybe it's not the same place. The woman, or at least I just knew it, like the stories linked together. The woman was pronounced dead at Water's Edge Rehab and Nursing Center at Port Jefferson on Long Island at 11:15 a.m. Sunday, Suffolk County Police said. The woman, whose name was not released, was taken to O.B. Davis Funeral Home in Miller Place at 1:30 p.m. Police said in a news release she was discovered breathing at 2:09 p.m. The woman was taken to the hospital. No update on her condition was available Monday. This case has been referred to the state attorney general's office for investigation, police said. The state health department is investigating, as well as spokesperson Monica Pomeroy said. I thought it was the same place, adding that she could not elaborate because there's this thing down here that says an email seeking comment was sent to the nursing home. A person who answered the phone there Monday hung up. According to a news release, an email seeking comment was sent to the nursing home. A person who answered the phone there Monday hung up. According to the news release posted last month, Water's Edge Rehab and Nursing Home was recognized as one of the best nursing homes by the U.S. News and World Report for 2022 and 2023. Officials at the funeral home said in a statement, out of respect for the privacy and confidentiality of the families we are honored to serve, we're not in a position to comment further on this matter. This is the thing that I read that made me think they were linked. The apparent premature declaration of death occurred days after a continuing care home in Iowa was fined $10,000 over a similar episode. Authorities there said a 66-year-old woman declared dead on January 3rd at the Glen Oaks Alzheimer's Special Care Center in Urbandale, where she received hospice care. The woman was placed in a body bag, so that's the same thing we just read. But I thought it was more to it. I just skimmed over that part of it, and I thought they were the same place or linked somehow. But it doesn't. It just seems like they're both nursing homes. And the stories linked together to get backlinks. That's crazy, though, isn't it? That's terrifying. Could you imagine? Oh, here's a picture. I'm going to show a picture of this girl, not because I think anybody should make fun of her or anything. Like, she's dead and she can't help it that she has cerebral palsy. But because I want you to see how, even though she was 20, that she could be confused as a 12 or 14-year-old girl because she looks young. Probably the way she developed with cerebral palsy, but that's her. The Tanisha, what was her name? Beauchamp. Tamishka Beauchamp. So that's why they thought she was 12 to 14 years old. She was very small and looked very young, but there she is. That's wild to hear that. Wild, dude. What is this? Active dying.
So the next video we see a lot of the same thing, but you'll notice the eyes more. So this next video you'll see her eyes are open and fixed at the ceiling. You'll notice her mouth is open again.
This says trigger warning, actively dying video. This is not my patient, and I have written permission to
Like
share.
the last video.
Oh, this is
I think
hospice
in the
care
next
stuff.
video, you'll really see the changes in breathing a little better because you can see her breath more, her chest rising and falling, and you'll hear terminal secretions, which is that death rattle. So trigger warning, here is the next video. Okay, so as you saw in that last video, you could see.
I guess this is for education purposes, but this is hospice nurse Julia. Somebody in the chat must know who she is.
Her eyes were not blinking. Her eyes were fixed at the ceiling, which is very normal. All of this happens because our muscles are really relaxed. So we don't close our eyes, we don't close our mouth. She likely was not conscious. So although her eyes were open, she was not making eye contact. You could hear the terminal secretions, which are very normal and are not affecting the person. And you could see the changes in breathing. Now, again,
I can't remember if it was a movie or if it's true. Hold on. I can't remember if this was true or not. But somewhere I remember hearing that at the moment of death, you know, DMT, which is like a super, super powerful, like a psychotropic, right? Like it makes you trip, is in all of our bodies. It's basically in every plant. It's in every person. It's just real low levels and no one really knows why it's there. I heard that at the moment of death that there's like a dump of like DMT and into the brain. I know for a fact at the moment of death, there is a huge spark of activity that goes like into the brain. Your brain releases a large amount when you go, okay, is that true? But I know there's a huge amount of activity in the brain. Now, a lot of people to say like at the edge of death or whatever, the people that have almost died, like their life flashes before their eyes. And scientists think maybe that leads to that ties in with all this spike of activity in the brain. The brains of dying people may spark to sudden life in their final moments. Two apparent brain dump people were taking off life support showing sudden spikes in neural activity, according to a study that's been published on Monday. The findings published in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. So a lot of people think DMT is a very, very, very powerful psychoactive chemical, right? It makes you trip and see things. So a lot of people think we have these stories of people who like die and then come back and they see bright white lights and stuff like that. Well, in a hospital, if you're in a hospital setting, which a lot of these people that have these stories are, they're usually in a hospital bed and there's usually bright lights because people are working over them when they crash or whatever. There's usually bright lights in the setting. And with a large dump of like DMT, that chemical into your brain and all this brain activity, they could be like a coping mechanism to get through like the death portion by having like this trip basically, which I've always found interesting. I mean, no one really knows for sure because it's kind of hard to see what the fuck's going on then. Not many people come back and we got so many limited stories of people saying, well, I died and then I came back. It's just crazy. The process of what our brain does when we die is very, very, very poorly understood. But I think there's more than just, the process of like all the processes just shut down. Something more happens, including a spike in activity, including some chemicals released, and who knows why. No one really, I guess. That's crazy. Anyways, we don't have to talk about death the whole time. That sounds pretty sad. Here's a cool story. Kids and their fads, right? So this is on the teachers subreddit, r/teachers. Okay. r/teachers. It says every year these kids come back with a new annoying quirk. Coin boys are apparently the new thing. coin boys are apparently the new thing. So this is like fads and like phases and shit that kids attach to. So this is what's going on in this teacher's life from 2 months ago. Here we go. In my 10th year of teaching, mostly freshmen, so she teaches freshmen in high school, and I swear to God, ever since the pandemic, and honestly like 5 years before that, there's always a new thing students bring to school and that they learned over the summer from the internet or wherever. So these are like internet fads. What's up, TXL? I saw some other people. This scares me about EMTs. My daughter has a seizure. She can be out for a few minutes. She was supposed to get a medical bracelet. I think I'll make sure she did. Yeah, for sure. Rudy, I see you guys over there on Rumble. So this is the new fad is coin boys. Coin boys. Got it? So it says they pick up these fads they learn from the internet or wherever. The newest thing here at my school is a flock of self-proclaimed coin boys. And this just makes me laugh my ass off thinking about this actually happening. Like thinking about this going on makes me laugh so fucking hard. It's just funny. Even though they'll probably regret it, they'll probably think it's goofy, like emo phases and shit. This is hilarious. Who carry a quarter on hand at all times, and they're constantly flipping it. They have their entire personality revolve around coins, coin flips, and a game of chance. When we went around doing an icebreaker introduction paperwork, 4 or 5 kids said some variation of their icebreaker statement as, I live by the coin, I die by the coin. Andy, if you get one, hit me up because I want one. If it's from a legitimate source, I want one so bad. So bad. I've actually been looking at these Instagram accounts that apparently like ship them, but I'm afraid of getting scammed, to be honest with you, because a lot of them look shady as hell. I want one so bad. Anyways, so they said live by the coin, die by the coin as their one fact they got to put up, which sounds very funny. These freshmen in high school, they're like, everything's up to chance, lady. They seem like in cartoons and shit, the gangsters were always like in a black suit and a black hat, flipping a corn, like leaning up against the wall, flipping a quarter. That's what it reminds me of. Now listen, it gets better. Just about an hour ago, when I assigned the first assignment of the school year, so the very first assignment of the school year, okay? One of the coin boys was bold enough to say, heads, I do it, tails, I don't. So the very first assignment of the school year is assigned, and he's like, heads, I do it, tails, I don't. Live by the coin, die by the coin. I told him if he flipped the coin, he would be getting a call home on the first week of school. He flipped it anyways. And it came up heads. Thank God for that at least. Heads, I do it. Tails, I don't. Don't you flip that. Ding. But then the other coin boy in class flipped his coin and it came up tails. And he said, the coin has spoken. I will not be doing this. This is so funny. Kids are weird, but this is hilarious. The coin has spoken, teacher lady. Heads, I do it. Tails, the coin has spoken. Live by the coin, die by the coin. So I say, very well, enjoy your zero and your call home. What a great way to start off the school year and your high school career. I really hope this dies off soon. I haven't seen anything online about this when I Googled it, so I'm guessing it's just like a local friend group thing, unless one of you has some info. The coin has spoken, Mrs. Anders. That's so funny. Dude, I would pay money to see this going on in a class. Someone says, one of the comments says, I love you for this.
White Lexus 17 just resubscribed
Thank
for
you.
14 months.
14 months, a year and 2 months. Thank you very much. That's a big subscription. I appreciate the people that keep them going like that. That's crazy. This person says, I love you for this. I'm in France. Trends like this usually come in about 2 to 3 months after the U.S. We will go back to school on September 4th. This gives me time to establish this coin thing as something embarrassing that only old people do. The kids will never do it. That's funny. Live by the coin, die by the coin. Oh, that's very funny. I saw this on a podcast was talking about this actual post. That's a very good post. It's got 12.8 thousand upvotes. All right, we got some more links here. Let's see what we got. So we're gonna play a game. You gotta watch the video, and then we're gonna see what your responses are. I came up with some good ones already, but we're gonna see what your responses are. So here we go. Here is the video.
You've heard of Elf on a Shelf. Now get ready for... What do you think it is?
What do you think it is, boys? Here we go.
Heard
One more
of Elf
time.
on a Shelf. Now get ready for... What do you think it is?
What do we think it is? All right, so Elf on a Shelf rhymes. You know what I'm saying? Elf on a Shelf rhymes. So what are these three women? Now, the ones that I came up with, it looks like they're on a mountain. Okay? Right? We can see a view in the back. So I'm going to call it Desperation at Elevation. That's a good one. And then if we rewind just a little bit to where she's in her little pose.
Think it is? What do you think it is?
I'm going to call it Fupa in a Groupa. Fupa in a Groupa. So what you got? Tits on a cliff, MILF on a cliff. That one doesn't rhyme as good. Thought on a rock. That's a good one. Fupa in a Groupa I thought was a good one. Desperation at Elevation. That's a good one. Let's see what the comments had to say.
You think it is?
Double D's and bad knees. I usually choose kindness. The amount I laughed at this comment section tells me I need to work on it more. The comments are hurting my feelings, and I'm not even in the video. Sprained my ankle getting to the comments. Not disappointed. Super duper fupa troopa. Queefs in the Leafs. Beef curtains on excursions. That's a good one. Threes next to trees. That one was good. Dykes on hikes. Hell no on a plateau. I can't believe this app is free. 3 yikes on a hike. This comment section did not. Thunder thighs on mountain highs. That's good. I feel like I'm reading a Dr. Seuss book in these comments. Basics in their ASICs. That's a pretty good one. Somebody said, hell no on a plateau, and I cannot recover. I am deceased. Tubbies without hubbies. Desperation and forestation. Moo-moos and Lulus. Oh, I came to the comment for answer and ended up having a wine shoot out my nose from laughing. Y'all have no chill. Cottage cheese in the mountain breeze. Oh. I know we're going to claim to be witty after these comments. I saw a nice comment and someone replied to that comment, ma'am, are you lost? And I was dying for a solid 10 minutes. I flew business class on Southwest straight to the comments, so y'all did not disappoint. I don't think this turned out like they had hoped. Big muffs near the bluffs. Oh. Grease flaps and bear traps. Sorry. Ham hocks on the rocks. Used goods out in the woods. Hard pass on the grass. Double D's on a couple threes. Oh no. Twos with shoes. Nope on a slope. I will not eat green eggs and ham. Sam, I am. Nope on a slope. Spanks on skanks. Someone said, my feelings are hurt and I'm not even in this video and I've never related more. Moo-moos and their Lulus. Basics and ASICs. Used tail on the trail. Yoga pants that don't stand a chance. Sorry. These are pretty good. Threes with disease. Oh. Whores outdoors. 3 4s outdoors. Butter faces in high places. The hills have thighs. 3 dimes on a climb. Oh, 3-way off the freeway. Remind me never to ask the internet what I am. Ouch. Dumb tricks in the sticks. Lard in the yard. Be safe. You're going to chafe. 7 beers. Wake up in tears. I was going to the comments. I was going to comment with something hilarious, but read the comments and immediately realized my comment really wasn't that funny. Melons on St. Helens. Cattle on the gravel. Double D's on a couple threes killed me. Back pain with a chance of rain. Hard pass under overcast. That's a good one. Couple 4s outdoors. Blimps without pimps. No class on the grass. Tricks in the sticks. Desperation on location. Nope on a slope is pretty good. The award goes to Nope on a slope. I'm sending this to the feds. Butter faces in weird places. Bukkake in Milwaukee. Some y'all are fucking mean. As some of y'all are mean as fuck. Some of y'all are mean as fuck. Grupa del Fupa. 2s wearing shoes. I really want to know what the real answer is supposed to be. Heavy on a levee. 3-way off the freeway. Stanks and spanks. Ham hocks on the rocks. Rebounds off the campgrounds. Oh, yikes on a hike. Vagisil in the mountain chill. Spandex and glycemic index. Syphilis by the cliffless. Front wedge on the edge. Ham hocks in the boondocks. Butter faces in high places. Crow's feet and lots of meat. Plan Bs that bopped and weaved. That is really mean. That is really mean. Plan Bs that bopped and weaved. Knuckle below the buckle. Oh no, she got a moose knuckle? Couple 3s near the trees. Cottage cheese in the breeze. The comment section did not disappoint. Grimace and friends. Cottage cheese and bruised knees. Dairy on the prairie. Ooh. Muffs on a bluff. We read that one, didn't we? Slump busters in a cluster. Mids on a ridge. Epic fails, hiking trails. Bukkake on the Rockies. That one's pretty good. Clams and tight jams. Thunder thighs and fireflies. Hose hitting a pose. I don't understand all these mean comments. They are pretty. Shut up, Sarah. Sluts with guts. That's pretty mean. Floppers and mountain toppers. 3 or 4s in the great outdoors. Cunts on the hunt. A double wide on the mountainside. Yeast and no feast. Belugas and Chattanoogas. Maybe they're on Lookout Mountain. Ooh, Nope on a slope is pretty good. It's double D's in a breeze, but the comments have damn near choking to death. Have me damn near choking to death. One's making puns. 2 tons of fun in the sun. Cattle doing battle. 3 skanks and spanks. Nose with area codes. Nope on a slope. Fishy air way up there. Oh. Stretch marks on a landmark. That doesn't really rhyme. It's the same word, but we get it. Nope on a slope is pretty funny. Oh, shit. Secretly, guys, under overcast skies. Oh. Jesus Christ. I don't know what they were going for, but it went viral. If nothing else, it went viral. Let's play it one more time for the people in the back. That was pretty good. Pretty good.
You've heard of Elf on a Shelf. Now get ready for... What do you think it is?
I wonder if they made a response to this. Probably, because I guess it's old. Is this it? Okay, this is it.
You've heard of Elf on a Shelf. Now get ready for...
She says, go on then. Guess the phrase. 3 words. It's supposed to rhyme. Give me your best shot. They did.
What do you think it is? You've heard of Elf on a Shelf. Now, just wanted to show you guys a cute little fit check for today's photo shoot. Father Jack is going to put me in the cross and teach me the ways, and then Sister Samantha is going to make sure we get some really great photos of today's worship session. Have you ever wanted to learn how to make it clap?
That was easy.
Fantastic. I'm going to teach you how today. Step 1
I've wanted to learn.
loose clothing. There needs to be lots of movement.
Okay.
Barn doors have to swing open if you want to hear them slam shut. The distance between your feet is super subjective. I like about shoulder width. You might like your feet together. Now you're really only going to lift your heels. It's not a full jump. There's also a tiny little hip scoop. The view from the back. Lastly, it's just like everything else in life. You'll have to make a little bit of adjustments for your unique body, and of course, practice. Have you ever wanted to learn how to make it clap?
It's kind of hypnotizing, to be honest with you.
Fantastic. I'm going to teach you how today. Step 1 is wear loose clothing. How many times do you think we arrived between the top and the bottom of this mountain? The gondola ride is only 10 minutes. How many times do you think we arrived? We are at Lake Louise. We're going to go canoeing. Look how gorgeous it is here.
She's an OnlyFans model. Some of these bitches make a ton of money off OnlyFans. OnlyFans is not a place, if any of you are thinking of doing it, OnlyFans is not a place to go viral. It's not a place to build an audience. If you're a female and you already have an audience, it's a place to milk them dry.
I guess I'm just like in the mood to...
I wish you would have responded to it.
Today, because I'm going to go look at a property that is my dream property. I've had 2 dreams since I was a little kid. One was buying my mom a house, and the other was buying myself a farm. And I bought my mom a house already. And I'm going to go look at a farm that is...
And making tons of money off of it.
Absolutely fucking perfect. But the owners have already accepted an offer. So there's like a 99% chance that I'm not going to get it. But I'm going to go look anyways and make a backup offer in case, I don't know, financing falls through for the people who made the first offer. And I don't know, wish me luck, please.
Yeah, if you got tits and you've already got an audience, it's a great way to fucking milk that audience. But people who just start an OnlyFans, they're not going to get like 1 million subscribers. But if you already have 1 million subscribers on YouTube or Twitch or Instagram and you start an OnlyFans, that's where you're going to get 20,000 of them to pay fucking $40 a month or something. It's crazy.
Make a blood sacrifice, like, you know, whatever is within your comfort zone, but I need this.
Most people would call that an abortion, not a blood sacrifice.
I need this to happen.
This is okay. This is okay. This is okay. Everything is okay.
Why, yes. This is the shirt that the commenter is asking about. Mandy and I were wearing them at the beach a couple of weeks ago, and this nice fellow was like, what's up with that? So we slid the links and, yep, got a message from him a few days. Why, yes. This is gondola tickets to get up the mountain and see this gorgeous view. $150. Friends who are willing to do weird stuff on a mountainside? Priceless. Gondola.
But she's old enough to get that reference, so she's not young, I would assume.
Everybody listen up. You need to get in your seats right now. Everybody listen up. You need to get in your seats right now. Hey, you kids, step forward, please. Facing forward. Thank you. That's what I like. Whoa. 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 Everybody hang on.
Well, this is fake as hell.
Is everybody okay? Kids!
This is fake as fuck. What? It says hashtag bus, hashtag kids, hashtag God, hashtag Jesus, hashtag amen with praying hands, hashtag safe, hashtag love, hashtag driver, hashtag shocking, hashtag protect, hashtag viral, hashtag FYP, hashtag watch, hashtag amazing. Was it the rapture? Did anyone notice that when the kids disappeared, there was almost an accident?
Everybody listen up. You need to get in your seats right now.
What the fuck was that?
Hey, you kids, step forward, please. Facing forward. Thank you. That's what I like. Whoa.
They literally fade out. It's not like they even disappear. They fade out.
That's what I like. Whoa. 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 Everybody hang on.
And then he went around the corner. What the fuck was that?
Can you believe it? There's a big bug in a rat's asshole. It's a horsefly larva that parasitizes animals. I must say, this horsefly larva is quite a beast. It's a bit off the beaten path. It picks out specific areas
for my own news
I actually have another update on the recent bomb threat that was made toward me and my university.
How about this update? Either you're lying about this bomb threat, or NYU's about to be hit with hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. Harry, do you know what the Cleary Act is? I didn't think you would, so let me help you out with this. See, the Cleary Act requires colleges and universities to issue emergency notifications and timely warnings. And in case you were wondering, all NYU campuses are required to comply with the Cleary Act. And your NYU campus does comply. See, they put out campus notices of every alleged crime, even as recent as yesterday, September 25th. And they ensure that they comply with the Cleary Act because they report...
Wait. It's not... Hold on. Are we talking about DMT? It's not mind expanding like mushrooms. It's relaxing. It's very interesting. Short period of time, so I'd keep some around if it were cheap, just because it's neat. But it's not a mind reset like mushrooms. Just wild to see for a few minutes. Which one are we talking about? Because I want to try DMT. The way I hear Joe Rogan talk about it, I want to try that shit. Slaying and buffeting. I didn't even see that one. That was a good one. DMT. Way I heard Joe Rogan talk about it. I want to try it. Fucking ayahuasca or some shit.
Polo G will never release a song again ever, and his life is over. If you didn't know, Polo G was charged with kidnapping. Polo G will never release a song again ever, and his life is over. If you didn't know, Polo G was charged with kidnapping, robbery, and assault the other day. All things that his lawyer can possibly dismiss or reduce. What cannot be fucking dismissed, however, are the pistol switches and short-barreled AR they found in his home. This is actually devastating because him and his brother will for sure face consequences because the guns were registered under their name and found in the house. So the Polo G album on the 15th, that shit is not coming out. Polo G will never release a song again.
5-MeO DMT to the moon. So the reason I want it in a vape is because it seems like 1 to 3 hits and you're just fucking done, right? It's pretty simple to hit it. I guess depending on how strong it is. The vape sounds awesome for it, but I don't know. I want to try them all. So I want to try LSD too. The only time I did LSD was one time in high school, and I don't remember a whole lot of it because I wasn't in my right mind to begin with. But I tried it, and I've never tried DMT. It's hard to get enough from a pen. Oh shit, I didn't know that. I've just been watching people on Instagram. They might all be fucking lying. I don't know. Mariah sent me this, and I thought it was pretty sweet. Turns out she's kind of an asshole. Just in case anybody's wondering. It says, "You're the kind of boy people read books about," which I thought was sweet, right? Like a romance novel, or maybe one of those sexy like Mexican novellas. That would be cool. I thought about just getting the Himosa root or whatever and doing it myself. It says, "You're the kind of boy that people read books about." And then I noticed there was a second picture. And then I thought, oh, well, you're just a cunt. Because the second picture says, "Modifying Retarded Behavior" by John T. Neesworth and Robert M. Smith. So not the book I was thinking about. Not the book I was thinking about, but it is what it is. It is what it is, I guess. At least she's still messaging me. And some people don't come back. They just become like schizophrenic. Yeah, I've seen people suffer like schizophrenia from it or from repeated uses a lot of times. Retardation, modifying retarded behavior. Let's speaking of books. Speaking of books, let's check on our boy, the White Tiger Angel. He goes from like 14 videos a day to like no videos.
This is a message to my girlfriend's boyfriend, Ryan. Oh man. You think you could just steal my girlfriend and get away with it, Ryan?
Ryan, count your days, Ryan.
She was my baby girl and you just stole her from me.
The audacity!
And now she won't even answer my messages.
What?
She probably stole her phone too.
Oh no, he didn't. Oh no, he didn't. Ryan?
Well, now the dragon is here to take her back.
Not the dragon.
Let's just say it's about to get
chill.
I thought they were predicting a bad winter this year. I didn't know. Where's the one where he's like, hold on, there was one where he was, what was he doing? He was responding to a video. I just saw it the other day. He was responding to a video. This one. Here's a good one. Scott Rogers. I would never ask. Never ask. I would never ask. Oh, he's not even looking. See him? Oh, he looked again. Stop it. Stop looking, Scott. I was waiting for you to get here. You have to have a starter crystal. I was reading about, I was watching videos and reading about how to do it on like the Reddit things or whatever. If you get that, what's the root called? It's called the Himosa. Hold on. I have to look it up. Mimosa hostilis root powder. Mimosa hostilis root powder. Hell, there's a guy who does it all on YouTube. He can't actually show the thing on YouTube. He does like a sample of it, but this
purple.
This is Vice News talking about.
Surrounds the root is the part of the tree that has the.
So like almost all plants have it in it, but this has like one of the highest levels of shit in it. It's the root bark.
Most concentrated natural sources of DMT. Look at the depth of this color. It's really magnificent. Have any of you?
Where's the guy that? Hold on. Where's the guy that actually refines it on YouTube? He does it. I swear I've watched the thing. Is this it?
Baby Drugs Man.
No, it wasn't a cartoon. Jesus Christ. Let me do this. History. DMT. Mike Tyson on DMT. Oh, did I watch these a long time ago or something? Or did I not? I didn't search history, did I? I searched the regular one. History, that's what I need. It was this guy. Quick and easy.
Hey everyone, welcome. Today's video.
He can't actually show the process and get his video taken down, but he talks about
Mimosa hostilis root bark. It's very basic chemistry, but it is pretty cool, I think. All right, what you're going to need is 50 grams of Mimosa hostilis root bark. You can buy that online. It's legal to buy. 50 grams of pure lye. Do not use Drano. 50 milliliters of naphtha. 750 milliliters of water. A scale. Mason jars. You'll need beakers for measuring and for the freezing process. You'll need a freezer. You'll need coffee filters, and then a blender. Only use a blender if the bark you buy does not come in the powdered form, if it comes shredded, because you want to get it in as fine as a powder as you can make it. Also, you're going to need a pipette or an eyedropper or something like that. All right, now you're going to take your mason jar and you're going to add the Mimosa hostilis root bark powder to the jar, and then you will add the 750 milliliters of water to the jar. And then you're going to want to put the lid on and shake it up really good. The root bark is actually used as a dye, and as you'll notice, the water will turn very, very deep purple. Then you're going to slowly add the lye to it and put the lid on and shake it up really good again. It's going to create an exothermic reaction, meaning it's going to create heat, but that's to be expected. Then wait 30 minutes while shaking it up frequently.
30 minutes, shake it
then
frequently.
Add your 50 milliliters of naphtha and start shaking it. I've read that you can get emulsions from shaking the jar. I've never had that problem myself, but if you're worried about it, just kind of turn the jar end over end instead of actually shaking it.
Emulsion is where two chemicals that are not soluble in each other still blend in a way that it's almost impossible to separate. So you don't want to
run the jar under the hottest water you can get out of your sink for a good hour while shaking it frequently. This is one of the most important steps, because if you're not using heat, then you'll have very, very low yields at the end. After the hour is up, let it sit another hour in the water just without shaking it this time. You have to let it sit long enough for the naphtha to completely separate from the lye. It should look like oil floating on top of water. There should be no lye in the naphtha at all. Now take your pipette and suck off the top layer of naphtha and put it inside of a beaker. It's very important that you only get naphtha. You do not want any lye sucked up into the beaker. In your beaker is a solution of naphtha and pure DMT. Now take your beaker and put it in the freezer. And then let it sit overnight. Now when you take it out of the freezer, you should notice crystals on the bottom of the beaker, and that is your pure DMT. You're not done yet though. All right, now take a clean mason jar and put a coffee filter over the opening, and then screw on the ring part of the lid. And then you're going to want to take your beaker with the solution in it and stir it up really good. Scrape everything off and just pour it into the coffee filter. All the crystals will collect at the bottom, and the naphtha will run through. Then let it sit in a well-ventilated area until the crystals are totally dry. Once the crystals are totally dry, scoop them out with a spoon and put them in a container for storage. And that's really all there is to it. The very first extraction.
So apparently that's how he does it.
It's always the best. You can actually...
So you can actually run that through multiple cycles over and over again, but the first run is the most pure.
Reuse the same bark multiple times, and you'll get a little bit less and less each time. And generally speaking, the crystals will be a little bit more yellow each time, but they're still fine to use. I really made this video just to.
I did that too, Andy. I was on the road for a long time when I didn't do them. I was on the road for a long time. The guy who did the guy who grew them, like literally in his camper, like had a whole setup. He had one end of his camper. He had made like a positive, or like a makeshift positive pressure, like clean room and shit, and grew them in there. And at the time, I wasn't interested, but man, he had to set up to do it. And I thought about doing it. A lot of people do like the Uncle Ben's rice method shit. Yeah.
Show how quick and easy it actually is to do this process, and I really wanted to keep the video under 5 minutes just to make it so simple. So if you guys have any ideas for future videos, leave a comment. Maybe I'll get to them. Maybe one day I'll do a actual demonstration using the actual materials, but I don't know how that'll fly on YouTube these days. So just let me know. Thank you. Bye.
So there you go. That's how you do it with root powder. Root powder that you can order online. Oh, sorry. I was reading something off to the side. So there you go. That is from the, I don't even know what something hostilis root, Mimosa hostilis root, some another. Somebody said that Phalaris aquatica does it too, which is like it's like reed grass, right? What it looks like looking it up. Shit's crazy that it grows like in everything. That's wild. Or that Native Americans or like native cultures figured it out so quick and was like doing ayahuasca tea shit. Like, that's wild. Smoking it and fucking drinking it. And I have a neighbor who grows and can get a hold of golden teachers. Brown rice flour method in jars. Yes, easy. Yeah, I would like to try it sometime. I've seen a bunch of people do it. There's a bunch of TikTok channels. Hold on. There's a bunch of TikTok channels that do it.
In this video, I'm going to
like not just like magic mushrooms, but all kinds of mushrooms.
show you how to grow mushrooms using the dub tub method. The first step is to inoculate sterilized rye grain with liquid culture.
Some people use popcorn. Bags of popcorn I've seen.
Once the grain spawn is colonized, you make...
I guess it's just kind of got to be anything that's like... that like has spaces in between it, I guess.
Pasteurized substrate. Once the substrate is cooled down, you can mix the grain spawn in with the substrate into a 6-quart bin with a black liner.
With a black liner.
Allow the substrate to colonize for the next 10 days at 78 degrees Fahrenheit.
I feel like, I don't know, do you get if you did this like this size, would you get like a good yield off of it? Because it seems like it takes a lot of time. Do you have to have like a big fucking farm to make it worthwhile? Or would it be fine just doing one project in one fucking like Tupperware container? Or do you have to have like a shit of it?
Fan the substrate with the lid and use a spray bottle and a second 6-quart bin to provide humidity. Fan and mist the substrate 3 times per day until they're ready to harvest. And that's all there is to it. If you need more information, I just posted a full-length video on my channel.
I don't care, drop it. I don't know what this music is. Growing magic mushrooms from spores. So he collects the spores. I don't know what that is. Alcohol or some shit. So he's getting spores going, it looks like. Like, god damn, they got cloudy quick, didn't they? Damn. He broke it up. So I know there's places that sell starter kits, right? They're already in a syringe and shit. There's all these accounts that say they sell this stuff on Instagram, but to be honest with you, it looks like a lot of them are like bullshit. It looks like a lot of them are scams, which is, I don't know. Spores. It looks like he just got those spores on aluminum foil. That's a roll of toilet paper. What the fuck? He boiled it, I guess, to sterilize it. Damn. That's a lot of shit. God damn, that's a lot of shit on that toilet paper. Those are huge. Oh, I guess it didn't let you post it. Some links they block, some they don't. It's weird. Just type it out with a space in it, and then I'll grab it. Paste the link and then do it. God damn. And then do a space in it. I know like people were crazy back when I was young. I remember hearing people were crazy about the penis envy mushrooms or whatever. They like look like a dick. And they're like, oh man, they're like 2 or 3 times stronger than like any other mushroom. But I think that's been like refuted. It was just like the mystery of the unknown kind of deal. That said that every mushroom's different depending, whatever. They're all about average kind of deal. I got you. Virginia's decriminalized. I know Virginia decriminalized marijuana. So you can go to a head shop thing. You can go to like a head shop thing that is over in Virginia, and they sell like CBD products. But if you ask for their adult share program, they tell you a price to get into the adult share program, and you pay for like this little punch card. You pay money for the card. You're not paying for pot. You pay money for a punch card. Then when you get your punch card, you go to a completely separate like counter, and when you show them your punch card, they give you the pot for free. So they're not actually selling it. They're selling punch cards, and then the guy sees your punch cards and decides to give it to you for free, but you can just go over there and buy whatever. I listened to a YouTube show with the guy who invented. This guy's wild. The guy who invented the penis envy strain or whatever, or like brought it to, maybe he didn't make it, but he brought it to the mainstream or whatever. There's a podcast on YouTube.
Easiest ways to start growing mushrooms.
There you go.
All you need is
you were
Ben's
asking
original
about it. You're
whole grain
right.
brown rice, your spore or liquid culture syringe, micropore tape.
That's like how people get around liquor license at events. I've never heard of that before until I rode with my buddy. I don't smoke because I've tried different strains. I've tried different kinds. I've tried fucking edibles and regular grass, and I've tried everything, all different strains. I get so fucking paranoid. So paranoid. And I already have like a level of paranoia from like my PTSD. Yeah, mushrooms have to be, a specific test has to be done for mushrooms. Plus, like 60% of like what you consume is gone in like 2 to 3 hours or some shit. And the rest of it's gone by the next day. It'd be really hard to get busted. You'd have to have a specific test for mushrooms. Plus, you'd have to get busted within like a day of doing it. So if you did it on like a Friday night, there's no way you're going to get busted on Monday.
Flame sterilize your needle and 70% isopropyl alcohol. First thing you want to do,
can one of the mods over on Rumble ban whoever it is spamming the link.
Shower, wear clean clothes. We want to make sure we're clean. And then we're going to want to make sure our workstation's clean. So spray down everything with 70% isopropyl alcohol. Spray down your bag. You want to be as clean as possible, really. Get your hands, get your arms. We're trying to prevent contamination. If you want to increase your odds, work in a still area.
Yeah, that's the same thing I saw, Andy. Like people were lying. This guy's like a psychedelic connoisseur that does this YouTube channel. People were lying to him. He wouldn't meet with him. He went to the place where this guy works and left a note, and he wouldn't call him. He finally ran into a family member of his or something to meet that guy. It was really weird. It was whatever it was that whole story was weird. Yeah, you listened to the same one I did, Andy.
Box too. You don't need it, but it does help. Next, you're going to take your bag of rice and push all of the rice down to the bottom. Be careful not to rip the bag open. That's a no-no. But just do your best to get most of the rice down to the bottom. And now we're going to take our spore syringe or liquid culture and then flame sterilize our needle. Now you can do this with just a normal lighter.
Those are usually
make
bots.
sure you get it red hot. Red hot is going to make sure nothing survives.
This is the Uncle Ben's method,
needle,
I guess.
therefore increasing our chances of success. Now, after it's flame sterilized, we're going to find where we want to inoculate. And so I'm going to do it right about here. Wipe it, make sure it's clean, and then put our needle in. No, I'm not going very far in. And I'm going to put at most 1 cc. Really, you don't need a lot. And then cover it up. Now, I've seen people use 0.3 cc's. I've seen people use a full cc. Really just find out what works for you.
The only ones I've ever seen in the wild, like it just out in the woods and shit, were called Liberty caps. I think they're like really pointy. They were like really, really pointy.
For you, I would recommend not going above 1 cc because you might add a bit too much moisture and that can cause problems. Our bag is inoculated, so now we need to add gas exchange because mushrooms breathe oxygen just like we do. So we don't want to suffocate the mycelium in here. I have 2 pieces of micropore tape here to immediately cover up the holes we create. I'm going to take a needle, just the tip of it, and we're going to flame sterilize it once again, red hot.
I think that's the only I've seen mushrooms like growing all over the place, but I think that's the only psychedelic ones I was ever able to like identify. I know a guy that had in his backyard in like these containers had, I think they're called wavy caps or something. But he got them from like the Pacific Northwest or some shit. I don't think they grow around here naturally. I don't know. But yeah, I've seen wavy caps before growing. Someone was growing them.
Once that's done.
Okay. I think it's just blocking out the .com. I see the thing. The reason it's still trying to block you is because it's picking up the HTTPS. Like you have to put spaces for the .com to make it look like it's not, or just leave out the dot, or put the .com in parentheses or something. But hold on. Psychedelicpassage.com. Oh, I got you. Hold on. psychedelicspotlight.com. It looks like what it is. A list of the strongest psilocybe cubensis strains. Jack Frost, Enigma, Pearly Gates. I've seen the Pearly Gates ones. People grown them before on here. Albino penis envy.
We're going to take our bag.
I got it. I got it open here, I think. This website here. Thanks. I'll check it out. I don't know how we got on mushrooms, but we're looking at them. I think it's interesting how they just kind of grow like crazy. If you get the humidity right and the stuff right, they grow like crazy.
Then we're going to twist the needle around.
Golden teachers. I've heard that golden teachers are probably like your best bang for like, not the buck. I mean, all this stuff is not super expensive, but like you get like the biggest yield. They're pretty strong. You get a good yield and they're more forgivable. Like if you fuck something up.
To widen that hole. Cover it with micropore tape. Ooh, drop the needle. Since I dropped it, I'm gonna flame sterilize it again.
I want to see if it shows what he grows out of this or not. You know, he's cutting holes in the bag.
How long this will take? 4 to 5 weeks.
Mushrooms have a fast growth rate, doubling in size in 24 hours.
Doubling in size in 24 hours, which I guess they grow and die fast, don't they? Spores Lab is a great site, but only ship within Canada. My faves ones were called B+.
It's growing 4%.
I've seen grow kits for sale. They don't look like they're as shady as like trying to buy the actual thing. There's these people my buddy told me to check out called Backpack Boys on Instagram, but man, they look shady as fuck. Like I went to their Telegram and they're like selling every illegal drug you could imagine. Supposedly, you have to buy like super large amounts of shit. They even had like guns without the serial numbers like filed off for sale. Like I don't know.
An hour.
Southern golden tops grow all over Holly Ridge and the decaying pine needles. Well, that every time it rains, that might be something that's more likely to be at my house. Those did grow like crazy, didn't they?
What you working with? Pay for this pussy, nigga. Yeah. Get your bands up. Or you ain't tricking, nigga. I'ma hit your mans.
Mushrooms have a fast growth rate, doubling in size in 24 hours. That's growing 4% an hour.
What you working with?
6 p.m. That's pretty
I thought I
crazy.
failed.
If the mushrooms that come like the rain and shit, like they grow in just like a couple days, they're fucking huge, then they're gone.
But I didn't. So, okay, this batch failed, and I will explain why.
This is why you should start growing your own mushrooms.
Damn, that's a lot of mushrooms.
How we doing? I'm in control of your body, don't stop.
That's a pretty big.
Like a train conduct. I see that your brain product.
This is why you should start growing your own.
I'm not trying to I'm not actually trying to sell. Actually, one not. I'm not trying to sell it or anything. This would be for personal use, but there's also some friends of mine I would probably hook up. Again, I'm not trying to make money or be a drug dealer, but
this is.
Take off the foo-foo. Take off the cloud chase. Take off the watch.
Damn those.
Take off the money phone. Take off the car loan. Take off the flex and the white loss.
Some of these are magic mushrooms. Some of them are some of these are probably food mushrooms.
You need to be growing.
There's a guy I used to work with that at the city of Johnson City that actually grew mushrooms you use in food. And they're these super expensive mushrooms he grew and found he had I don't know what you call it. They weren't technically wild, but he had because he had placed the spores there and cared for them and shit. It's kind of like ginseng. There's wild ginseng. There's greenhouse grown ginseng, and then there's transplanted ginseng, which is kind of in between. And that's what his was. He grew them all over his property and shit. And he would bring them to the city in these big ass bags and sell them to people for pretty good amounts of money. I don't know what they were, but I don't eat mushrooms. I'm not a big mushroom connoisseur, except for obviously the benefits of magic mushrooms.
Your own food. You need to be eating more mushrooms. You need to be growing your own mushrooms. So get them from us. We sell the kits, or Google a local farm in your area, buy a kit from them. Always support local, but regardless, you really need to start. You need to be growing your own food. You need to be eating more mushrooms. You need to be growing your own mushrooms.
This seems like food grade mushrooms.
And this is the easiest way to grow your own mushrooms at home.
So he's got a box set up that he sticks his hands to, like a clean little clean room, I guess. Yeah, I don't know about the strength and stuff. I was just going off what these. So I Googled, what did I Google? Hold on. I'm trying to see what I Googled earlier. Here it is. In 2021, Hamilton Morris is a YouTuber, managed to track down Rich Gee and invited him to be interviewed on his podcast. In the episode, Gee states the record straight, the real history of penis envy mushroom. He corroborated the stories of McKenna's initial discovery of the spores in the Amazonian jungle, but revised how exactly Gee got to receive, blah, blah, blah. McKenna, in 2002, Silly Simon was awarded first place in the spiritual category of the psilocybin cup with his own penis envy strain called Shiva Lingams. The psilocybin cup is an event held by Oakland Hafea that tests the potency of entrance mushrooms to determine the most potent strains. Was found, it says, Simon's strain was found to have 22 milligrams of psilocybin per gram, meaning it was 30% more potent than the second place awardee. This isn't the website I had earlier. Let's do this. History. I hate searching penis envy because I'm going to get some weird shit, but here it is. You bet. All right, here's the article I read earlier. Tainted history. That's not it. Evaluating the potency of penis envy, or any psychedelic mushroom for that matter, underscores the deeper question at the heart of Oakland Hafe's work. What does potency data even mean in the context of psychedelic mushrooms? Harris and Bollinger have no trouble identifying and measuring the various active compounds in their samples, which include but are not limited to psilocybin and psilocin. To do so, or psilocin. To do so, they employ some of the same machines that chemists use to test cannabis for cannabinoid content. But that data, they argue, doesn't paint a full picture. They explain that the ways in which those compounds interact with each other, a process somewhat analogous to cannabis entourage effect, remain quite a mystery. Furthermore, they pointed out that anecdotal accounts from consumers muddy the metrics of potency. Harris recalled situations in which particular mushroom samples did not boast particularly high quantities of psilocybin or other active compounds, but according to consumers, fueled extremely intense trips. High numbers don't always equal a long trip or an intense experience. Big number doesn't equal good, is the argument we're trying to bring to the conversation. It's understanding the profile and the experience is going to be a lot more personalized, he explained. So when it comes to Penis Envy's notorious potency, it may be wise to consider its reputation with a grain of salt. Our data shows that Penis Envy tends to perform higher, but it's random every single time. From the testing we've done, PE is more consistently than not more potent than other cubensis varieties of mushroom, he added. But it comes out a little stronger than your average run-of-the-mill mushroom. The owner of Mushley, who asked to remain anonymous for this story, similarly downplayed PE's notorious potency. People say PE is 3 times stronger, they told me in an email. But in my personal experience, that hasn't always been the case. It's down to individual plants and individual people. When I tried PE myself, I took a very small dose, just under 1 gram. But he didn't trip. He didn't take a big enough dose. But there's some crazy looking ones here. This guy's going to inoculate some rice. Yeah, it's how the other active compounds in it work together and how the body kind of absorbs it. And it can be different from me to you. Like you might have a strain that like fucking knocks you on your ass, and the strain for me is kind of like, oh well, that that was the same as I normally have kind of deal. I put McKenna on tour. He did speaking engagement psychologist. I had Timothy come through as well. Cool. The religion thing's a big deal to me. I find that very interesting because people that were tripping would literally think they thought they were talking to God, and this thing given from God allowed them to do that. I mean, how would you describe it? They describe it as almost like bread, which is like if you've ever broken up a mushroom, that's what it looks like. It looks like really white bread. Like that shit's wild to me. I love that topic. I know it bores the shit out of some of my fans, but damn, I love it. I don't know for sure, Kev. I mean, you can't quote me on it. I'm not like a scientist or nothing, but that's what I read from these people. Like, depending on like a lot of factors, blood pressure and how much body fat you have and this and that can affect your dosage and strains that do different things to different people. The only relatable experience I have to this is marijuana strains. Marijuana strains, like when you go to a dispensary, they'll tell you like you need to find your strain because your buddy might tell you like, hey, this strain's perfect for me. I'm not paranoid. It doesn't make me sleepy. It doesn't do this. And then you go and fucking do it with all of your body makeup and it does the fucking opposite effect to you. So I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just what I've read. I've been researching this for a few months, ever since I started talking about first wanting to do it. And then someone helped me out and got me some chocolate bars, which was awesome. So I'm just now kind of trying it all.
All right, guys, we're gonna let this sit for a few weeks, and then we'll be good to move on to the next step. I don't even remember much about high school. Oh, and this
3 ways to grow mushrooms in your garden
to
maximize the food production. Number 1.
I like looking up mushrooms. Since I already live in Tennessee and I kind of know what the weather's like and the humidity's like and stuff where I live, I like looking up strains that grow naturally in East Tennessee that are magic mushrooms or whatever. And then I would like to find some that are wild and maybe grab some spores and try to and try to have them grow, I guess. He's making dowels? What's he doing with dowels? And wax?
Number 2. Number 3.
Amarita muscaria. That's the Mario mushrooms, right? Amarita muscaria. I might not be saying it right, but that's what I always see is like the Mario, the red with white dots. We'll watch the video on the Jesus thing in just a second, a short one. There's hour-long streams.
3 ways to grow mushrooms in your garden to maximize the food production. Number 1.
I have insane, like I'm already, it didn't used to hit me like that. I remember when I was in high school, and I don't even remember the first time I got high, but I used to be able to, I had a little bit of a tolerance, right? I could actually pass a joint and hit it a few times. Ever since, there was a long phase where I didn't do any drugs like that at all. And I ended up with PTSD, and I ended up with traumatic brain injury and what's most likely CTE, which is from repeated brain injuries where my brain's shrinking, and one day I'm probably going to snap like a former wrestler and unalive my whole family because my brain's like shrinking. But anyways, after that, when I tried smoking, it's like I have no tolerance, obviously, because I haven't smoked in a while. And it is the most insane fucking paranoia. Like, to the point where I feel like I'm having like an anxiety attack from the paranoia. Every strain I've tried, vape pens, cartridges, fucking wax, it doesn't matter. Edibles, it is just fucking paranoid as hell. All I can think about is I'm too high. I'm so fucking paranoid. I need to be unhigh, and there's no way to stop it.
Here,
like,
you know it's sterile when it sucks itself in. It only takes a few seconds to mix everything up just right. Always label everything so you know what you're doing, and remember to shake it up because life always finds a way as long as you take care of it.
The start to finish liquid culture. You can miss.
This is one of the easiest ways to start growing mushrooms. So the recipe is 2 parts vermiculite, 1 part brown rice flour, and then 1 part water. And you mix that up in a bowl, and you fill some pint-sized mason jars about 3/4 of the way full with that mixture. And then the other 1/4 of the jar can be filled with just this vermiculite to act as a protective layer. From there, you can pop 4 holes in the top of the lid, and that is going to be where you put your syringe in to inject your spores later down the line. Before you're able to do that, you're going to need to sterilize it. This is one of the easiest ways to start growing mushrooms. So the recipe is 2 parts vermiculite.
Damn, growing something out of there, ain't he? Jesus Christ, it just keeps growing. That's a cool time lapse, though. The fuck? Is that, did he grow something that got maggots in it? When growing mushrooms gets creepy crawly. Like fucking mealworms or some shit. I guess all these flies are laying larvae in it. Because it's attracting a ton of flies, ain't it? That's disgusting looking.
On so many different things. I grew these mushrooms just using an old book, and I'm going to show you how. In mycology, the process of pasteurization involves raising the temperature or pH of a specific material in order to kill off any competing pathogens. In some cases, this process also helps hydrate your substrate. I'm inoculating this book with blue oyster mushroom spawn because it's vigorous and easygoing. It will have no problem eating away at these pages.
14 months.
Thank you for the receipt.
Still riding the crazy train.
Thank you. Hey, we're doing, it was supposed to be tonight, but I had computer issues. Q Idiot, we're doing we got to get back to the Patreon shows. And if you want to do, if you want to let me know if it's okay to share your slideshow of your house, I might do it tomorrow or Thursday. I think it's a beautiful home.
Much of what I'm doing is a fairly easy process that you can do at home.
Throwing that shit on a book. That's crazy.
I don't want to tell you that you should eat these because mushrooms absorb the nutrients from whatever the substrate is they're growing on. But if you're looking to create some nice compost or mulch for your garden, that is something you could. This is how I grow mushrooms.
My computer was fucked up from a power outage. Let's go to the Christianity and the mushroom. Joe Rogan talks about it. A bunch of people talk about it. The Sacred Mushroom.
The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. And it's a fucking phenomenal book because it's written by this guy, John Marco Allegro, who's a biblical scholar and a linguist, and he was also an ordained minister. Yeah. But through studying religion, he became agnostic. His interpretation after 14 years of study was that the entire Christian religion was a giant misunderstanding, and that the original version of it was all about fertility cults and psychedelic mushrooms. He traced back.
I went into a rabbit hole today over Yahweh, the original Christian God, or the God of the Hebrews, God of the Israelites, and it seems like at one time that he was the God of thunder and like a raiding, like a war raiding type God that they worshipped. And it ends up evolving into like the monotheism. But at the time, it was a polytheism, many gods, and he was just one of them. And, in the Old Testament, it says a lot of things like they try to get a guy to sacrifice his son. They talk about human sacrifices and how it's bad and this and that. And apparently that type of stuff was going on in the early days. And the reason they put that stuff in the Bible was to get people to like convert from it. They were trying to teach people like, hey, you can't do this, can't do that. It was crazy. It kind of like Thor.
The word Christ to an ancient Sumerian word that was a mushroom covered in God's semen. So these people had this idea that when it rained, it was God giving life to the world, and that rain was God's semen. It would rain, and then in the morning they would find these mushrooms and they would eat them, and they would fucking trip balls. And then they wanted to hide these stories from the conquering Romans and from all these other empires, and so they hid them in allegories and in myths. The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, and it's a fucking phenomenon.
Inky and Anil.
Because it's written by this guy, John Marco Allegro.
I wonder, Christianity is a mushroom cult.
Christianity is a mushroom fertility cult. Yeah, I said it. Have you heard? The Bible is basically one giant code for an ancient Sumerian fertility cult. I knew it all along. Oh yeah, and Jesus is actually a psychedelic mushroom /
By the way, there is a lot of old, early like artwork that depicts mushrooms with Jesus for some reason.
I'm not calling Jesus a penis. I love Jesus. He's great. The mushroom. You know what I'm saying. Check out The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, a book by the linguistic...
I wonder if we can find a slightly longer video than a short. I don't want to watch like a 2-hour stream. That's probably the best way to understand it. Here, let's do this. The connection psychedelics have to early Christianity and Christmas. We'll try that.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
One of the things you talked about was that there was this transference, like the Eucharist eventually became a placebo. Do you think that what do you think it was initially? Do you think it was a psychedelic mushroom?
So that's Allegro certainly thought that, right?
Right. John Marco Allegro, author of The Sacred Mushroom and the Scroll.
So he releases that book in 1970, and he claims that Christianity is the guise for a Near Eastern fertility cult. And I think it's very interesting, but there aren't many linguists who support the proposition.
Right. There's a lot of people that disagree with him pretty heavily, right?
I mean, from like a purely linguistic perspective, it's to explain it briefly. So
the Eucharist can mean a lot of things. So it can mean like the sacrament from communion, Holy Communion. The sacrament for the masses, or the sacrifice of the mass, the Lord's Supper. It all has to do with communion. And we went to communion as like a placebo. Like he says, eat this cracker of my body. You drink the grape juice that was supposed to be of his blood. And it's like I went to a bunch of churches who still do communion. Some of them don't anymore, but I went to a bunch of never Catholic. I was never in a Catholic church, but like Baptist churches or Protestant churches that still do communion. And they think maybe instead of it just being like a placebo, like eat this cracker and remember that this is like God's body that he sacrificed for you, or Jesus' body he sacrificed for you. At the time, it may have been like mushrooms that they were eating.
He says that.
Did you read this? The Sacred Mushroom of the Cross.
Yeah.
Did you read it?
Several times.
Did you read the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Christian Myth as well?
From Allegro.
Yeah, that's the one that was. So the Catholic Church bought out the original one, right? And it was very difficult to get a hold of for the longest time. You had to buy copies of it.
I've heard rumors to that effect, yes.
Yeah, and then he comes out with the second book, the Dead Sea.
By the way, he did write one book, and the Catholic Church bought it and held the copyright of it and wouldn't allow a printing of it.
Scrolls and the Christian Myth.
For like 40 years.
Knowing as much as you know about language,
Yeah.
what did you feel like he made leaps? Did you feel like he made these connections that maybe were based on speculation?
So he writes, it's pure philology, right? So it's word games and things that only linguists, I mean, I think it's incredible that people who aren't linguists can actually read that. It's really, really difficult to read Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. But the basic premise is that the New Testament, written in Greek, has this Semitic substratum. So underneath the Greek, the author, the gospel writers and Paul are actually referring to different terms in Hebrew or Aramaic. And that these terms have in turn come from the Sumerian, which any linguist would say is a language isolate, that there is no real relationship between Sumerian and the Indo-European languages like Greek and the Semitic. So the premise of the argument is something that most linguists don't accept. However, and Carl Ruck has written the afterword to one of the editions you probably have of Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. And he gets into some complex theories about psycholinguistics and this interesting idea that just because they aren't related, there are certain words, certain names, certain vocabulary, like plant definitions, which would carry across the different languages. And I find that somewhat interesting. But when you dig into the words that Allegro was recreating, he places an asterisk actually next to these words because they can't be corroborated by the ancient texts. So some of these Sumerian words he straight up hypothesizes as existing, but they can't really be found in the existing tablets. So it's hard to correlate some of those meanings he draws down from the Sumerian. But that said, he makes very interesting claims. For example, like in 1 Corinthians 22, there's this interesting line where he says about that we preach Christ crucified is a scandalon for the Jews and a folly for the Greeks. And scandalon in Greek means like a bolt or a snare, like a trap. And Allegro ties it to like a tikla in Aramaic, which is like what he calls the bolt mushroom, and in Sumerian ukushtigila. And so he's saying that Paul's actually telling the Jews that the Christ crucified is a mushroom instead of a scandalon. It's like a code word. Like the scandalon is a mushroom, and then for the Greeks he says it's a folly, which is moira in Greek, which actually means mandrake, which is another psychedelic plant. So there's all this different wordplay going on, but it's really hard to tease out any physical forensic evidence for this stuff, which was what I went after.
Was Allegro's position, if I recall correctly, that the sacred mushroom was Amanita muscaria?
Yeah, that was even the cover of his book. It was a photo of Amanita muscaria.
And that's where I have I think Allegro did amazing work, but that's one area where I have a problem with Amanita muscaria as the psychedelic of choice in early Christianity, because in shamanic cultures where Amanita muscaria is used, it's recognized that the mushroom is much more effective after it's been passed through a human body, or indeed through the body of a reindeer, and emerged in urine. And so those shamanistic cultures of,
well, I mean, the first ever, what we would call communion, was literally the Last Supper, right? Hold on. Take, eat, this is my body. And he took a cup and gave a thing. It says, and they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it. And he gave to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. And he took a cup and gave the thanks and gave to them, saying, drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out to many unto the remission of the sins. So I would assume, I've never looked this up, but I would assume that that's the reason that communion is done, the Eucharist, to recreate the Last Supper.
Siberia use Amanita muscaria by drinking it in the urine of a shaman who has previously consumed the mushroom. And I don't see a lot of evidence for that in it.
But Jesus did it, is what I'm saying. You say they ask you, but Jesus did it first. If you believe the Bible, well, you can't just cut that part out. Jesus did that. So if it sounds satanic, then Jesus did it sound satanic as well.
Early Christianity, and it's why I like the work that Brian has done, looking at the really hard evidence for psychedelics in early Christianity, which are not in this case Amanita muscaria, if I'm correct, Brian.
Isn't the speculation about Amanita muscaria that it's seasonable? It's seasonal. It's also genetically variable. Like there's different species of it.
So
much like different.
Apparently, I think all we know about the spiritual stuff is like the vision quest and stuff, right? So there was a coming of age. Apparently, if you had like there's a coming of age ceremony, or if you had like a perplexing problem, like something you couldn't deal with, there was like a ceremony to help you navigate that. You would see the spirits of your ancestors would lead you to either manhood or to the right direction or whatever, and they would have ceremonies where they would just trip and figure out something else.
Fruits taste differently. There's different versions of the Amanita muscaria.
Oh, well, cool. I don't know what to say about that. I that's fine. I mean, that's fine that you believe that, but I can't I can't front a discussion about that if we're just gonna pick which ones we want and which ones we don't.
That have more psychedelic compounds in them, and that there's all sorts of ways of preparing them that we've completely lost. Am I getting this wrong? 'Cause I've only had one Amanita muscaria experience, and it wasn't very convincing.
Yeah, and this is often the case.
What did I say? Kung Fu grasshopper?
But I'm told, I've not had the experience myself, but I'm told that if you can bear the idea of drinking the shaman's urine after he or she has consumed the Amanita muscaria, you will have a really powerful journey.
Yeah, but you don't want a shaman just laughing.
Well, like there was some shaman that were like drinking reindeer piss. If you guys know the reindeer piss shit, like where the reindeers would go eat the magic mushrooms and then their shepherds would like drink their urine and fucking trip, and then the reindeer would get in these things. Have you guys ever seen a reindeer tornado? They would get in these reindeer tornadoes, and the caretakers would watch that like high as hell. So what scientists believe the reindeer are doing, or a cyclone, reindeer cyclone, what they believe is happening is reindeer almost always travel in packs. And the most simplistic form of that is I just follow the person in front of me, right? I just follow the person in front of me, follow the person in front of me. But sometimes when they're in an open area, and let's say the leaders are kind of making like a left-hand turn, it's built into their brains, even if they're the leader, that it's built into their brains they need to be following the person in front of them. So sometimes as they're like going around, we'll watch Lightning Strikes a Cow in a second. So sometimes as the leaders are going around, they will go around a loop and they will see the tail end of their group. Then suddenly they'll think, oh shit, I'm not the leader. I need to follow the person in front of me. And they get in these fucking cyclones where they literally kill themselves.
So a bunch of scientists arrive and start an ecological study, which
this
is
the
one
that got struck by lightning.
But what did they find, and why did it happen in the first place?
It's a huge reindeer graveyard.
Where things get very interesting. So this is a video of what people call a reindeer cyclone. It was recorded in Russia near the Arctic Circle. A couple questions right off the bat. Why are they doing this? Spinning around in a little reindeer tornado. Like a lot of things, we don't know the exact answer, but we have some good theories. When reindeer herd in a group, it's very chaotic, it's confusing, it's very difficult for a predator or hunter to pick out an individual to attack. So they're safer if they herd together because it confuses their attackers. This is also one of the reasons why we think fish form schools. How do I pick out one when there's so many just jumbling around? So that might be why reindeer herd, but herds can be in a lot of different types of shapes, and they're not always cyclones like this. So what's going on? There are two theories. The first theory is to protect their young, just like musk oxen. When a group of
musk oxen will, when they're under threat, they will stand asses to the inside of the circle and put their young in the center.
Oxen are threatened. They arrange themselves in a nice little circle with their horns facing outward.
Or their asses facing in, just like I said. I don't know why you had to change it. The horns out. It's asses in. Face down, ass up.
The thing here is they keep the young oxen in the middle of the herd, inside the circle. They form a protective ring around their most vulnerable members to keep them safe. And people think the same thing might be happening here. The youngest...
I think that's true, Miss Press. That almost all cultures we see in the past, which, again, we went to technology-based and fact-based and science-based and less about religion and gods and superstitious, but almost every culture we see in the past had some type of like psychedelic something, right, intertwined into their culture. And then we've kind of broke away from that. We don't do that shit anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's so frowned upon. Like I told somebody the other day that I was going to try mushrooms. They're like, oh my God, you're going to do drugs?
Reindeer are being protected in the middle of that cyclone. That's the...
It's not like I'm shooting up heroin. It's mushrooms.
First cyclone theory.
You don't have a problem with pot, but somehow you have a problem with mushrooms.
That they're protecting their young. So let's move on to the second theory that quite honestly doesn't give the reindeer as much credit as the first. This might just be a very interesting accident. So when reindeer herd together, it's quite possible that they could fall into the mental trap of follow the reindeer in front of me, no matter what. So imagine what were to happen if you have a herd of reindeer then.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dream. So I just like to listen to music and maybe turn the lights down kind of low, not off, but I like to listen to music. Maybe not have a bunch of bright lights in my fucking face. But it's kind of like having a dream. Like whatever you're thinking about when you go to sleep, a lot of times gets pulled into your dream. Like if you're really stressed over something, you might dream about it. If you're really happy about something, you might dream that you're actually doing it. Like let's say you're going on vacation the next day, you might dream that you're at vacation. So it's kind of like that. You have to have kind of like a decent mindset where you're going into it. And if you have underlying problems that you're trying to hide, like you're not trying to talk about this, but it's really on your mind, that stuff will manifest itself sometimes too, same as a dream.
And for whatever reason, it kind of curved in on itself. And then the reindeer in the front here caught a glimpse.
I think Coke does count. I'll do a bunch of Coke. It's just a plant, bro.
Glimpse of the reindeer over here, and then they just started following those reindeer, and then you kind of just get a.
So they just kind of follow the other reindeer. I think that's what's happening because it doesn't seem like their young's ever at the middle. Let's see if we can get a good reindeer cyclone going.
Just a single opportunistic shot. But the alarm wave surges through the herd like an electric current.
Jesus Christ. Oftentimes they trample each other and kill each other.
Designed to confuse any predator, whether wolf, bear, or Viking.
It would be hard to pick one of them out of all that commotion and shit. All right, let's see. Cow struck by lightning. Somebody requested that one. Lightning strikes a cow. All right, we're looking across the street at the cows. We're going to look at that cow. The black one or the white one? Okay, the black one. Boom. Oh, shit. So we don't actually see the beam, but it locks up tight. Look at that. Boom, down. Down we go, boys. I would say that's probably already rare. Give it a few minutes and let it sizzle. Let it rest for a couple minutes, and you could probably get medium rare. I don't know if you're going to get much more than that, but it's at least rare. Hold on.
In the Arctic Circle, this fungus also has magical associations with animals. Fly agaric contains hallucinogenic chemicals and is a favorite food of reindeer.
The reindeer love to eat the mushrooms. But I don't think they process it and like trip. I think that's why it all comes out in their piss.
For thousands of years, the lives of reindeer and Sami people have been entwined.
The bottom fins on a mushroom are called gills. And it's not all mushrooms have that. There's other different things. Some of them have like almost like little sticks sticking off it, but the ones with the fin looking things are called gills. Like fish gills.
Fly agaric is important to both of them. In autumn, reindeer seek out the mushrooms, even under an early fall of snow.
That's right, Zachariah. The reindeer literally dig up these mushrooms to eat them.
No one knows whether the reindeer are affected, but in the past,
I know. One time I was doing meth on the road and Mariah didn't know it. And then I came home and we had a little adult time. And Mariah's kind of into like golden showers, gargling and swallowing. And needless to say, she was up for like a week.
Army shamans took fly agaric in their visionary rituals. They even drank urine from reindeer, believed to be under the influence.
Maybe reindeer do trip. They drink the urine of reindeer believed to be under the influence, just to see, hey, you know how you know how sometimes you check a car's oil and it may be a little bit, maybe it's a little bit low, maybe it's a little bit high, you know, and you're like, man, is there gas getting by? So you kind of, you give it the old sniff test. Does it smell like gas, or, you know, is there gas bleeding by? Kind of the same thing. So we're just checking on a reindeer. It's just like a car, right? Just checking up on it, give it a little taste test, catch a little bit in a koozie or something. You want to get it while it's warm, while it's still suspended.
In trance, they contacted the great reindeer spirit. On humans, the drug heightens senses and creates visions of flying.
This may be where flying reindeer myth came from, by the way.
Some believe
watching them jump and do this is the worst fucking this is the worst fucking computer graphics here in the world, but where they were running and jumping and doing their crazy things, you've seen how they run and all blend together and stuff. This may be where flying reindeer came from.
the greatest of all modern myths arose in the Sami's visionary flights of fancy. Perhaps early 19th century ideas drew on these stories to create a Christmas legend.
Especially, could you imagine being close enough to see the Aurora Borealis and tripping mushrooms? Talk about the best job in the world. What's up, Tiff Dragon? Just fucking watching the Northern Lights, eating some fucking mushrooms. It's already kind of trippy. There you go. So that may be where, what is this? Is this a gorilla throwing another gorilla? You ever so mad you ever hit a Santa Claus with a mushroom?
Yeah, I'm absolutely fascinated by mushrooms. I had Paul Stamets on the podcast.
Me too, Joe.
How great is that guy?
Super cool. With a mushroom hat?
Yeah,
that was amazing.
I got one if you want one.
That's awesome.
He gave me 2 mushroom hats.
That's amazing.
What am I going to do with 2 in case one breaks? Yeah. I have an extra mushroom hat. But,
there's a really cool documentary, actually. It's called Know Your Mushrooms, I think. It's by Ron Mann.
If I start growing mushrooms, I'm gonna document it on TikTok.
And he travels along with these mushroom hunters.
If I start drinking reindeer piss, I'm gonna document it on TikTok.
I think a lot of it's in Oregon and up the coast of California, down in Mexico. But they're professional foragers that then go and sell these mushrooms. But they track these foragers, and it's such a cool movie.
That's interesting. What I was gonna say is you better know mushrooms because they'll fucking kill you if you don't.
That's the thing, man. It's like, what my first experience foraging for mushrooms, I was like an apprentice chef at this restaurant, and the chef comes in and was like, "Hey, check these out," and I was like, "Whoa, like what the hell are these?" And he's like, "Oh, they're morels. Like I found them mountain biking."
I will tell you one of the craziest things I've seen recently, that I cannot explain, and maybe we'll go over it one time. Maybe we'll go over it sometime. Is Bigfootproof.com. Bigfootproof.com. It blew my mind. We're gonna have to go over it one day. It blew my mind.
And there's this stigma, like as a kid, like your parents are like, don't eat those, don't touch those, they're poisonous, they'll kill you. And it's like, okay, well, then you just have this idea, well, mushrooms come from the grocery store. Well, it's like, no, they come in the wild. And that's like my thing with meat is I teach my kids, like, meat doesn't come from the grocery store. It's not a styrofoam package. That's not where it comes from. It's an animal.
Yeah.
And it's just like, mushrooms that grow in the wild, and they're crazy. They're just like
mycorrhizal.
Yeah, it's a
mycorrhizal relationship with the animals, or with the trees rather. Do you know the story of the Amanita muscaria?
I know what they are. I don't know the story.
The Amanita muscaria is the most fascinating.
It does kind of look like Santa Claus, so it's right. It's red with like white like accents.
One to me because that's the one that looks like
and dots.
Looks like Santa Claus.
It's
red with white.
Mushroom, yeah.
That is the subject of a book by a guy named John Marco Allegro, who was one of the head scholars for deciphering the Dead Sea Scrolls.
It's almost as interesting as Lemon Party. I'll tell you that much.
For the Dead Sea Scrolls for 14 years. He was an ordained minister, but he was also in his study of theology became agnostic. And when he started realizing that there was all these different religions that had similar stories, and he was found all these different connections, and he was trying to like figure out what the origins of all these stories were. Well, after studying the Dead Sea Scrolls for I think it was 14 years before he wrote this book, he decided that all of Christianity was a massive misunderstanding, and what it was originally about was these stories, this collection of stories that were about fertility rituals and psychedelic mushroom use. And he traced the word Jesus back to an ancient Sumerian word that was a mushroom.
He chased the word Christ back to an ancient Sumerian.
Covered in God's semen. And that when God would come on the earth, that's what rain was. Rain was God coming on the earth. And that these mushrooms would rise up out of the ground. They would eat them and trip their fucking balls off, right?
That's a crazy story.
So I mean, you got to think.
Yeah.
People that were foraging for food, especially back when there was no agriculture, right? I mean, it was touch and go. You could easily starve to death. A bad winter, a drought, people would starve to death. It was very, very common. So they would take foraging extremely serious, and they knew what they could eat, and they knew what they couldn't eat. Well, they knew that there was a relationship between carnivorous trees, and carnivorous trees would grow these weird-looking, shiny red and white mushrooms under them. That's what carnivorous trees is, pine trees. That's what we use for Christmas trees. Yeah. Those red and white packages, they are like the shiny packages underneath the Christmas tree. They are the color of Santa Claus. Yeah. They're common in Siberia. They're eaten constantly by caribou. Caribou are reindeer.
Oh, no, Chris. Oh, no, Chris. No! You didn't do it, did you, Chris? You didn't do it. Did you get your Bigfoot wings tonight? Never, ever, ever take a link from me that I don't show on the screen.
Reindeer are addicted to these, to the point where when people are having psychedelic mushroom rituals and they go outside to take a leak, the caribou will knock them over to get to the Amanita muscaria piss in the sand.
They will knock them over to get to the piss. Listen to this.
Where when people are having psychedelic mushroom rituals and they go outside to take a leak, the caribou will knock them over to get to the Amanita muscaria piss in the sand because they smell the Amanita muscaria in the piss.
The caribou will knock people over taking a piss to come drink it up off the ground to get high.
And one of the ways these guys trip their balls off is they eat the mushroom and then they drink their own urine. They have a second process of this.
You remember, I think this is a rumor, but do you remember when there was like this rumor going around? I don't even remember what they called it, where kids in like cities were like pissing and shitting in bottles and then leaving it outside to like ferment in the heat. And then they were huffing it to get high or something. Was that even true? Was that like a Facebook thing? Yeah.
Here's where it gets even crazier. In the times in Siberia where it would become extremely snowy, when the shaman would visit, the way they would get into the house is through the fucking chimney because the door would be snowed in. So they would climb in through the chimney. I mean, there's so many parallels to Santa Claus and to Christianity, to this one mushroom that they think was a massive part of shamanistic rituals. There it is right there.
This is this Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah. Oh, that is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
That's such a cool story.
Oh, dude, it's fucking crazy.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer right there. Why? Because they sniff them out with their nose.
So he wrote this book called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross that was bought out by the Catholic Church. This I have to verify. But I do know.
I'm sorry, Chris.
That they stopped production of it. I don't know if it was bought out by the Catholic Church. That's always been what's been told to me. But I do know that they stopped production of it forever.
It was bought by the Catholic Church. They claim for other reasons because it made a lot of claims about religion and stuff. They bought it, held the copyright to it, and the right to print it. They never printed it for like 40 years. You couldn't print it. There was only like online copies.
He came out with another book called The Dead Sea Scrolls and the Christian Myth, which is still available. Then, more recently, like really recently, within the last decade, a guy named Jan Irvin republished the John Marco Allegro books with permission from his family. I think it might have actually been one of those things where when a book is over 25 years old, it becomes like public domain or something like that.
The link, this is called The Link Between Religion and Psychedelics. Let's watch this last one, then we'll do something else, I guess.
Have you tried the new ones like Moxie and TX6 or something?
What, new weed?
No, there's new types of like psychedelics.
Oh,
you're over that shit?
I don't need that. The stuff that's real is good enough. These people want to try something other than mushrooms? Like, what are you looking for? Acid's not strong enough for you?
I don't think there's one that you could turn off.
Oh, you turn it off?
Yeah.
Like with a switch?
Like no, like, you know, like if you're drunk, you can kind of make yourself sober if you need to. So this is a psychedelic that you can switch off.
Oh,
what's
really?
it called? Moxie?
This is Moxie. It's 5-MeO.
Yeah.
MIPT.
What is it called? There's Moxie and then 2CB is the other one.
I've heard of 2CB from the Kanye song.
Oh, is that from the Kanye song?
An analog of the more popular drug 5-MeO DIPT. Foxymethoxy.
Is that great? It's got an old-timey name. I've never
Interesting. Foxymethoxy is a great name.
So it's like, I guess, hipster mushrooms. You probably haven't heard of it.
Well, they're always coming up with new things to avoid certain drug tests where they just alter a chemical just slightly. It doesn't fit. That's where 5-MeO DMT was not classified as one of the banned psychedelics in the 1970 Sweeping Psychedelic Act.
And 2CB is the best. I've never heard of it.
5-MeO is DMT with an oxygen molecule attached to it, which eliminates some. I don't know exactly how it works, but the visuals are very different. It looks very different. It feels very different. It's way more potent, and it was legal forever. Like, you could order it in the year 2000s. We would get it from a fucking chemical company where you order it over the internet, and they would send you like an aspirin bottle of the shit, and you could literally put the entire city on the moon with that that little aspirin bottle.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It was so potent, and it's this white pure powder that is like straight from this laboratory.
Yeah, pharmaceutical grade.
Pharmaceutical grade, not for human consumption. 5-methoxy dimethyltryptamine, and we took it. And it just puts you in the center of the fucking universe. You feel like you're a part of every cell and every atom and every neutron, everything. You're part of everything. You're in the soup of it all. There's no detachment between you and things.
Yeah.
Everything just whoa. You disappear for like 15 minutes. You're sure you're dead. You're absolutely 100% sure you're dead. And it probably is what happens when you die. And then you come out of it. You're like, what in the fuck? Like I just got that from a company. I just ordered that with a Visa card. It's crazy. This is pre-PayPal. This was you'd be able to just buy this stuff. Like there was a host of these different things. Like do you remember salvia?
Oh, I was just talking about today. Is that still legal or not?
I don't know. It's a good question because it's kind of fallen out of favor. It's not something that people talk about a lot. But when people found out that you could just get salvia from a head shop, head shops are supposed to be you can buy bongs, you can buy velvet posters, but there's nothing that can get you fucked up. But then they started selling salvia because it was somehow illegal. And it is one of the most mind-blowing psychedelics known to man.
For 10 minutes, yeah.
It's fucking unbelievably powerful. Ari Shaffir did some on a podcast, and he lived an alternative life for 3 months. He had a family, he had jobs, he had friends, and then all of a sudden, he came back to reality. And he's like, what the fuck?
In an alternate reality, Ari Shaffir has friends.
Yes, his friends in real life. I'm one of his friends. He had different friends that I didn't even know. He just went into this place and lived another life. I think he was under the ocean, too. Yeah, there he is right there.
Oh, wow.
So he's gone. And he was getting, and Red Band, of course, filmed it. And so he got very violent when he woke up, too.
Oh, like violent?
Yeah, like, get the fuck away from me. Everybody was fucking...
Because it's disorienting.
Yeah, he's
you're physically paralyzed.
Yeah. So he's like, get off me, Sam Tripoli. He's got sunglasses on. It was chaos. Anyway, he came out of it, and he said that while he was out for 10 minutes, he lived like 3 months in a different world.
Jesus Christ. And then you have to wonder if that's the real one and this is the fake one.
Ah!
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. That's what apparently when you would have the Catholic priest going down the aisle, waving, that would either be sage, which is, I think...
Well, you had to know that reindeer's already pissed, right? They don't just hold it in.
I think derivative of Salvia divinorum. I think
you just found out that you need to drink reindeer piss.
Not a derivative, a cousin, maybe a close relative. I think sage and Salvia divinorum are extremely close. Okay. In terms of like the genus. Genus?
Genus. What's the genus for sage?
I think it's real close. I think it's one of those things where they think that maybe people were burning that, but they were probably also most definitely burning cannabis, and so they were wafting through the aisles with cannabis.
So originally, when they would burn like the little thing they do at Catholic churches, they think originally they may have been getting people high there too, and that's how they were having religious experiences.
Smoke, getting everybody secondhand high.
Huh.
Yeah, and that's one of the
experience.
Yeah, to take them into this fucking Catholic journey. You know, the guy's wearing a robe, just these stained glass windows everywhere. Like, holy shit! And look at the epic structure. Yeah. Like you're looking at these gigantic, beautiful artworks that they're calling buildings.
Oh, that's cool. I never thought about that.
Sage or salvia?
Okay, all sages are salvia.
Wow.
Over time,
I used to take a handful of Seroquel and tried to. I would masturbate and see if I could bust before I passed out.
The term sage has been closely aligned with cooking or medicinal use, and the term salvia has been given to more ornamental members of the genus. Nevertheless, salvia is the Latin name or genus given to all these plants. Yeah, so sage is salvia. So Salvia divinorum, this incredibly potent psychedelic, is common sage.
Wow. Or close enough basic for
somewhere, yeah, in the neighborhood of it.
And it's like a mix of acid and wheat.
Yeah, those guys tripping balls, son! Those guys are walking around with salvia, blowing salvia smoke. That's not a coincidence, man. They could have picked fucking cedar bark. Right? They chose to take some super potent psychedelic and waft it through the air as they're walking back and forth.
Well, there's also that theory that they Salem witch trials are because they're all eating ergot.
Yeah, and early frost.
Yeah.
Early frost. Yeah, they think that apparently is a really good one. Like they really think that really could have been it.
Well, they also there's a book called The Oracle about the Oracle at Delphi, right? And she had these visions and she would prophesy the future. And they went there and they found her stool. She was sitting over
poo or her stool that she sat on.
It's got 3 legs to it.
Okay. Yeah. Like an animal.
What's it called? Copro. What's the thing with dinosaur poo? Fossilized copper or something?
Oh.
You can get those.
Dinosaur poo?
Yeah, fossilized. Yeah. So they found she was sitting over a crack with natural gas coming out. So she's getting high off of whatever that is.
Oh no shit! So there's natural gas leaking out through the ground while she was partying.
Yeah. So of course she's gonna be speaking gibberish and having all these visions because she's getting it's like when you inhale.
Yeah, laughing gas. When you go to the
she was supposed to be like an oracle and shit, but she was sitting over a methane leak.
Yeah. Oh. Nitrous.
Oh, it totally makes sense. Yeah. I think that's probably a lot of these cases.
Of course.
Wacky things that people did. I mean, it only makes sense. I mean, they never did figure out what soma is.
That's what it was called, jinkum.
In the ancient Hindu.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, they think it might have been some kind of psychedelic, but they don't know what. Like, there's all this different speculation. Like, some people think it was a combinatory, that it was like psilocybin mixed with something else, and lotus flower. There's all these like different theories, but nobody really knows. But soma was obviously something that they were taking as a sacrament that would have these profound effects. That's most likely the root of all of these crazy religious experiences. These people were tripping their fucking balls off, and they weren't lying. Like, God did come to them. Yeah, God did come to them at the burning bush and spoke to them. And that's the other thing, that the burning bush. They think that these
So here's the thing. Someone once told me, like, and we saw it in that movie, and I've heard this before. These people gave their life for like a man they walked around with, supposedly like in real life, Jesus Christ, right? But if I lived back then, before like technology and phones and videos and fucking pagers or whatever, right? Movies, you just live a simple life without electronics at all. And then I was tripping balls and I thought I was talking to the creator of the world. I would probably be at the point where like, no, it's real. I don't give a fuck if you're going to kill me. It's real. Chop my head off. I understand it.
Scholars in Jerusalem think that the burning bush is probably the acacia bush, which is rich in DMT. Oh. So that's probably why this is the metaphor, right? The burning bush, and God spoke to them in the burning bush. That's probably what it really means. They were smoking it, tripping balls, and they met God, and he came back with, this is the only way we're going to get along, gotta stop raping each other.
And the other thing is a lot of these old mystery religions, right? You have to be initiated into them. Yeah. And if you're going to join this cult or whatever, for lack of a better term, and they give you, here, take this, you are going to experience something not only that that you've ever heard of, right, but like you don't even know how to handle it. Yeah. And it will change your life permanently, but there's no vocabulary for it there. It's not like now we know what acid is. You're like, holy shit, this is religious.
Right. You think it's God. Yes. You met God. Yeah.
Unless it's bad and you meet the devil.
You know about that guy, John Marco Allegro? Do you know who he is?
No.
He's the guy who deciphered the Dead Sea Scroll.
Okay. That's the same guy, John Marco Allegro. The Joe Rogan experience. Here's Joe Rogan on
If this was like
DMT.
on a spaceship, you would think of like that. Look at that. If that was on a spaceship, etched into the side of the spaceship, you'd be like, holy shit, it's a fucking alien language. Look at me. I don't know what any of those things are. I don't know what one of those numbers is. I don't know what the fuck those words are, those letters. That's an alien language. That's, to me, almost more alien than a lot of Asian languages. That looks crazy.
Well, that's a reason to kind of doubt that somebody's translating it right. You know, like, it's just like, oh, you looked at that gibberish and you saw that.
Well, scholars, you know, the whole thing with that is that these ancient languages, like all these stories came from these ancient languages. Like if you go way back to ancient Sumer, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, just all these Noah's Ark similarities.
They all. It seems like every major religion has a major or worldwide flood in it, and no one really knows why. They can't find any evidence that these floods took place, but it seems like all these ancient religions and groups of people all these cultures talk about a fucking worldwide flood.
It's all right. There's a lot of stuff in all these ancient stories. It's all probably points to some real shit that happened for sure. But along the way, just like what you're talking about with social justice warriors and how they behave like it's religion. There's like a natural compulsion for people to be on a group and have that group have a very clear
ideology.
Have to work
their way up to atheism if they want, because that's like almost a luxury, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I don't know how to just. I'll tell you what. I will say with the DMT shit, I did get like more of a. Oh yeah, there's more than.
Oh, there's something else there.
And it's crazy because I read about that shit in high school. I read some more about that guy that is the big DMT guy.
Terrence McKenna.
Yeah, because I think he projects a lot of his own horseshit into it. But that stuff
that McKenna does, or the
McKenna just. I don't. The only thing I never felt the thing that felt so much like not making me hallucinate, but like it was taking away a hallucination.
Yes.
And that is such. There's something so terrifying about that. But also like, wow, that's great. Like,
I think that's like a profound experience where you're tripping and you feel more like you're not hallucinating, and it's actually taking the hallucinate. That's like a matrix theory, right? Like this world we live in is like the matrix. But when you trip, it's not that you're seeing a hallucination, it's that it's taking the hallucination away from you, which is just wild to wrap your head around.
You feel like there has to be, just based on the shit you would see. Even if it's just shit in your head, you're like, why would that even be in my head?
It's entirely possible that whatever the fuck consciousness is can pass from this stage into another stage. And the only reason why I would hesitate to say that's exactly what happens is because there's no proof one way or another. But it's
all that pineal gland shit is not proven. They don't know that DMT comes.
I can't handle it anymore. They do now. Yeah, they do now.
Really?
Yeah, the Cottonwood Research Foundation. They did a series of tests with rats, and they proved that live rats have DMT produced by the pineal gland. Really? That doesn't necessarily mean that humans do too, but they're pretty sure they do. They also know that your lungs produce it and your liver produces it. That's a fact.
Really?
So, yeah, so your body's producing DMT, 100%.
Did you know that, or did you like those H.P. Lovecraft kind of horror stories?
Oh, I love those.
And there's a movie made out of about his pineal gland. He's taking something, makes his pineal gland swell up.
Which one's that? What movie is that?
It stars the guy from Reanimator. It's not Reanimator.
I'm feeling it now. I kind of remember what you're talking about.
I'll tell you the creepy. The thing is, DMT is a creepy. That's not the creepy because that's totally what we're doing. But the thing that's, whatever people say meet entities, right? But I don't know if that shit is meeting entity. But I'll tell you the thing that just sticks with me. That I'm like, how in the fuck is that possible? Is the shapes that I could see? Where I was well aware that they were a bit more than three-dimensional shapes, and it's so crazy to look at that and perceive it. And I'm like, how on earth could I perceive this shape? And you can't come back with it. Like
you know how you see it though in someone's art. Like, have you ever seen Alex Gray's art?
Yeah, it's awesome. No,
you haven't seen it.
No,
pull up Alex Gray. He's a psychedelic artist. I mean, all his stuff is basically tryptamine-based art.
And he's not famous because sometimes.
Oh no. He's brilliant. His stuff's fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, that thing for Tool.
That's one of them. But yeah, he draws the covers for Tool albums. There's a ton of them like that one. That one specific. That is DMT.
This is the guy that does the albums for Tool. If you've ever seen a Tool album cover, but he also sees these during trips and shit and like manufactures them.
That's DMT.
That is DMT.
Wow, that is hardcore DMT.
Hardcore DMT. When you do DMT, you see that, and you see.
The only thing I can ever get open is my third leg.
That in a way where it's so much more spectacular than anything you've ever seen. Because your normal consciousness.
Is your body there?
Like, it's not a body thing. You're not thinking
about your eyes closed. I mean, I'm myself.
Yeah, you're yourself.
If you look around,
you're yourself.
Dude, if you open your eyes, here's what's crazy. So if you close your eyes, it's like they're open somewhere else. And then you open your eyes, you see reality overlaid over this.
Tell me this one didn't influence the Egyptians. Click on the one your cursor's on.
No,
tell me that didn't influence the Egyptians.
What, this painting or the?
No, these kind of tryptamine
images. Did they have DMT?
100%. Yeah, there was one of the things that John Anthony West did was he was going over the Temple in Man. The Temple in Man is one of the structures. It's in Egypt, and it shows different parts.
I feel like I'm just learning about a bunch of this stuff, and everybody else knows. Everything else about it.
They're supposed to represent different quarters of the body.
I don't know enough about it.
And that there was some evidence that the eye of Horus is really the pineal gland.
Oh, really?
And that's what that symbol is. Like, see if Google pineal gland eye of Horus. They think that they're so similar in the way they're shaped.
I thought a vape pen would be convenient, but if you're telling me I can't get as much from it, maybe I need to get it in some other way or make tea out of it or something.
Entirely possible that's a very alternative thing. But look how it looks. How the thing.
Or make my own. I guess I could buy my own PG and VG. And if I could get a crystallized version, I could make it stronger.
Looks on the right, the actual pineal gland, and look at the eye on the left.
Whoa.
Yeah. See that wing off the side and the way it drops down right from the eyeball? Boy, that's fucking similar. It's entirely possible that they figured that out somewhere along the line, that through yogic breathing methods or some sort of psychedelic drugs they found, that they were achieving a hallucinogenic state. And they were able to somehow or another isolate where that state is being initiated. And if it's being initiated endogenously by your body, like through psychedelic breathing, that's probably where it's being produced.
Now, listen, I don't want to sound like being a Shua defender, but that looked coincidental to me.
Yeah, it could be.
I think certain patterns repeat over and over again.
But that pattern is pretty fucking close. You might be right. It might be coincidental. But the fact that it dropped, a straight line drops down right before the show it again. The straight line drops down right below the
They
eye.
didn't know what the fucking brain did in Egypt. That's the thing.
They did surgery on people in Egypt.
Yeah, but
Look at the right.
first of all, I thought Egypt thought the mind was in the heart, and that's why they pulled the useless brain out through the nose when they mummified you. Like,
how do you know their intent? You know what I mean?
Like, embalming techniques.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they didn't respect the brain.
No, they didn't. Look,
well, I'm sure they didn't know everything about the human body the way
that's
people
what I'm saying.
know
Why do they
today.
attach significance to something in the brain if they don't think that's
Because I think through psychedelic drugs. I think when they were doing these heavy psychedelic drugs, which by the way were absolutely being used by them, by tons of cultures.
But that's cultures. Listen, dude, this is the thing where that really blew my mind.
Is psychedelic breathing a real thing? I figured it always like a placebo thing. Is it a real thing?
Even believe rumors. That's what's going on again.
No, I saw
where you can just breathe in certain patterns and trip, I guess.
Look at somebody while you're on DMT.
No, I've always kept my eyes closed.
Okay, well, I 2 times closed my eyes. I went over and looked at somebody, and they had 6 arms like a Hindu.
Yeah, somebody else was just saying
I might have been telling you this at the
You told me at the green room.
What it is your time perception gets broken down, and that's the craziness. And so then motion looks like
Shiva.
It looks like a Hindu thing. And I'm like, wow, I imagine beyond that stuff, and you see some. I mean, that looked to me so much like a vision from DMT. Those 6 arm kind of guys.
Well, see, I collect that kind of art, like Buddhas and shit like that, like this kind of shit, because I saw this. I saw this image, this exact image.
Thank God, Yori's finally parked. Everybody. She started parking on the 18th of September. Today's the 27th.
I mean, this has a third eye and everything. The sculptor made this for me. I don't remember his name. Yeah, I wish I could remember right now, but I don't. But yeah, sculptor made that for me based on this vision that I had, high on DMT. I saw an infinite number of those. Really? I saw one hovering here, and then in every direction out from him, there was an infinite number of those, and they were all hovering and vibrating around me. So it's like fractal. Is it like fractal? Oh, 100% fractal.
What do you think?
Geometric.
What do you think? Having done it, like, what do you think? Like, what do you think now with DMT? After, I think I saw just a couple things, but I don't know how long ago they were of you talking about it with people. But what's your opinion of it now, as like, what you're seeing?
Well, it could be anything. I mean, it definitely could be some sort of an insane hijacking of your sensory nervous system, and it produces this spectacular psychedelic effect that's so profound, this hallucinogenic effect that's so profound that it literally is like a transcendent experience that changes your life. It's totally possible. It's totally possible that it's just a chemical thing. What's also possible is that life itself, that whatever the fuck life is, and especially whatever the fuck intelligent life is not understood. What consciousness is not understood. And this idea that things can only exist in this realm, that's not proven. Also the fact that when those quantum physicist guys start breaking down the nature of reality and they come up with, I don't know how the fuck they do this, I'm just talking about my ass, but they come up with the idea that there's 11 dimensions. Right. And that they literally, and this is all changing and constantly evolving and moving, and they're constantly adding to this. It is entirely possible that there's a bunch of other shit that's around us all the time that's just not here. We don't have access to it, and when you do DMT, you go into that other place.
That's what's so fucking unsettling, dude. It's like, it's not like you're going, it's like the shit's here.
That's why you, as a skeptic, it's very important to hear from you. Like a guy like you.
I'll tell you what, because I drew a shitty diagram of it. But this is what it feels like if you ever do it. Like, this little point, let's say this little point is you. This is what I felt like. And these lines I drew, that's like space-time. And you're this little point that gets stabbed into space-time. And all this shit, this is all the shit that makes you. Like, it forms a point. It's like closing your eyes and looking at all of the shit that's in cross-section of your being. Like, everything being focused into make it. If you could, like, just reverse look at it, it feels like that.
I always feel like it's lessons. I always feel like it's lessons. I always feel like it's time to go to school. Sit down. Here's what's going on. One of the last ones, more profound ones, was a bunch of jesters. They were all giving me the finger.
Really?
They were all circling around me, like, give me the finger. Like,
who named you?
No,
you don't teach about Twitter.
It's teaching if you're tense, if you're reacting negatively to this gesture, giving you the finger. Like, how do you feel of yourself? Are you in constant defensive mode? And then when I sort of relaxed myself, they started wagging their finger back and forth, like, yep, that's it. That's cool. Very, very strange. These things that you see but you can't define are constantly changing. So if you try to like say, oh, it looked like a gesture, it probably did for a few seconds. For a few seconds, it looked like a gesture, and then imploded and became stars.
I think you probably take in from like your subconscious. Like, so like, let's say you go in and like all these people are laughing at you and you feel like anxious and nervous and because they're all pointing and laughing at you. And then when you kind of just let that go, you feel like some relief. Maybe you subconsciously were already worried that people were like laughing at you or behind your back or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you take shit in with you that's already bothering you and you get some type of relief from that. And even if it's not from a god or from another realm or whatever, it seems to be like self-healing, I guess, or learning something.
And then it sucked in and became geometric patterns, and it became neon-colored worms that were making love to each other in a giant infinite bundle of yarn. Like,
there's a guy who, hold on. There's a guy who does trips. Hold on. He does, he like animates his trips or some shit. Acid fuel meetup, a scumbag dad in Vegas. Is this it? Transport a dead body. They like draw here.
And then I just shot through a tunnel of fractals and lights. I landed in this computer chip city that looked very familiar.
Someone tells their story about tripping, and this guy draws them.
My name is Shane Moss, and this is the story of the first time that I smoked DMT. So this was several years ago. I was in Dallas, Texas. I was doing shows. A comic came up to me afterwards, and he was like, hey, have you ever smoked DMT before? I was like, no, never heard of it. And he's like, well, you'd like it. You're a trippy dude. So he takes me to this guy's house. The guy's like, have you ever done mushrooms before? And I was like, oh yeah, tons of mushrooms. He's like, okay, well, nothing like mushrooms. Okay. What was that question all about then? Just some odd census that you do? And he's right. Mushrooms and DMT are nothing alike. Mushrooms might make like cars seem shinier than normal, or plants move about in a way that you haven't noticed before. That is not the DMT experience in any way. DMT is like, hey, you know all of this reality and perception that you are super familiar with.
This right here is what makes me want to do DMT, but maybe it's not right. I don't know. But I want to have like a profound, like out of body, see the center of the universe kind of fucking shit.
And very convinced it's real. Well, sorry about this. Zip. Tent of lies collapses. Something else entirely going on. It is a real red pill, blue pill, matrixy kind of moment. And he goes, take this bong, and you want to have 3 of the biggest hits you can possibly take out of this bong. I was like, no problem. I used to have a 6-foot bong when I was 17 years old, which I felt pretty dumb about until now. I realized I have been training for this moment for a very long time. And he's like, well, just so you know, it comes on very fast.
I want to get that from mushrooms, but I feel like it's not going to be as strong as I think it's going to be.
It's very intense. You're going to have the first hit, you're probably going to feel weird. Then you'll have the second hit. That's when it's too much for most people. Most people think they had too much, something's gone wrong, they want to stop. Whatever you do, don't stop. You have to keep going. You have to get that 3rd hit. You'll break through to this other space. And I was like, whatever with the build-up, dude. And I took that bong, and I took the first hit off that bong, and right away I was like, oh, I'm turning into a cartoon. Have I always been a cartoon, or am I just now turning into a cartoon? Well, I guess I'll just be a cartoon, smoking a bong. And I took the second hit, and then all of this, the entire universe just started shaking violently and collapsing. I was like, oh no, I just did all the drugs. Guess I'm going to die now.
All the drugs. Guess I'm going to die. Have you ever done mushrooms? Well, it's nothing like that. Okay, then why did you ask this weird census question?
Now. And he saw the panic on my face, and he's like, 1 more. I was like, well, nothing to lose at this point. And I started filling up this bong for the 3rd hit, and it was nice and milky white. I took a breath before clearing it, and then this sense of peace just washed over me. And then everything I've ever known just goes, ba-dum-bum-ba-dum-bum, gone. And then it was just me in this bong in space, not like planets or stars or anything, just a black infinite void. Brought the bong with me. And the smoke inside the bong turned into electricity, and that electricity turned into codes. I was like, this is gonna be weird. And then
this is what I want. Oh, CB DOS. This is what I want, guys. This is what I want.
I smoked all those codes up, and then I just shot through a tunnel of fractals and lights and strange colors, and I landed in this hologram computer.
Dr. J, you're the coolest grandma in the world. Will you be my grandma? I don't have any left.
Chip City made out of codes that looked very familiar for some reason, like I had been there many times before, and it was made out of these lights that were communicating with me in this way that I could understand perfectly, like thoughts without words, clearer than I've ever understood anything. And right away it was just like, welcome! So happy to see you! And I was like, oh damn.
He was like, 1 more! Nothing to lose at this point.
Well, you really did it this time, Shane. You broke your brain. Now what are you going to do? You live here now. And it just goes, hey, calm down. Focus, pay attention. And then it just started building these buildings. They were coming together like clockwork. And it was like, this is how I talk. It's all very difficult to explain. Now do you understand? I was like, I guess so. And I was like, now do you really want to see something? Like it's going to show me the meaning of life or something. And I was like, all right. And it's like, look over here. And I looked over. And there was just this weird, out of place cartoon cat just laughing at me. I looked back like, what? He's like, I'm just fucking with you. And that was it. That was it. My trip.
Weird cartoon cat that was just laughing at me. Oh, he's going to show me the meaning of the world, the meaning of life. What does this all mean? Weird cartoon cat just laughing at me. And he's like, I'm just fucking with you. Bye. And he fucking slams him back to reality.
And it's like, look over here. So, and it's like, now do you really want to see something? Like it's going to show me the meaning of life or something. And I was like, all right. And it's like, look over here. And I looked over. And there was just this weird, out of place cartoon cat just laughing at me. I looked back like, what? He's like, I'm just fucking with you. And that was it. That was the end of my trip. I was 100% back to normal, as clear-headed as I've ever been in my entire life, going, what the hell was that?
Tales from the Tales from the trip.
So
these are pretty good.
Whatever's in there, and I show Brad my tongue and show him the acid to be like, all good, right? And he's like, no.
Oh Oh no!
Hi, my name is Danzi Potenza, and this is a story about mommy's first trip to Vegas, first time taking acid, and how I became best friends with a 40-year-old orthodontist from Iowa. I became friends online with my friend Scumbag Dad. You might know him. One day I get a phone call from him, and he says, "Hey, I'm going to Vegas with a bunch of my friends, and we are filming this video for my channel called Angel Shot Origins Omega Endgame. You want in?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in." We had never met in person, and I didn't know anyone else who was on that trip, so I was like, "I'm gonna spend 3 days with like strangers, basically." So let's see how this goes. So we all took some mushrooms. We go and we have a drink before we do our next thing, which was going into Omega Mart. Omega Mart is this really cool art installation, basically designed for people who are on psychedelics. And so they start to hit right before we come in. And I walk in, the first thing I see is a bottle of bleach with my last name on it. And I'm looking around and I'm like, "Guys, what's going on? I have a very specific last name. My last name's Potenza. Why is there a bleach bottle with my name on it?" Brad just goes, "They knew you were coming." I'm like, "What the fuck do you mean by that? Is that a gag or what the fuck is going on, you guys?" So immediately, like, the mushroom trip is going a little crazy. I'm like walking over to the walls and just like stroking them consensually, I believe, in my opinion. Do I look like a psychopath right now? And I look around, I'm like, no, everyone else is on drugs too. I'm fine. This is fine. I have this joke that all of our friends are basically like, it's like a potluck of drugs. Scumbag Dad, it's acid. For me, it's like mushroom and poppers. All my friends there were straight, but I was like, "Hey, we might not have ketamine, but I do have this other fun thing called poppers." And they're like, "Isn't that the gay thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, but it doesn't have to be. It's not gonna like just loosen your butthole and then your entrails are gonna fall out, you guys." They were very nervous about this. So I have all of my friends sniff it and they're just like, "Whoa, this is crazy." Everyone's body gets really hot. We're all looking at each other like, I feel crazy right now. That was night one. Day two, we were filming at this military museum. We had flamethrowers. We shot a tank into a mountain. Day three, Scumbag Dad is like, "I got acid. Who wants it?"
Shit.
"Me, we do, Dad." I don't know what one tab of acid looks like, so I take whatever's in there and I show Brad my tongue and show him the acid to be like, "All good, right?" And he's like, "No." So I had actually taken like 3 tabs of acid. We're gonna be fine. We're just going on a different journey today. Some woman comes up to me and she goes, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she pulls me to the side and she's like a fan of mine. And so she starts telling me about how I've like helped her on her like journey through chemotherapy, and I'm on a lot of acid. So I'm just like, "Whoa, that's crazy. Thanks for letting me know that." So then we all go to Cirque du Soleil. We go to the show called Mad Apple in New York, New York. Brad has a lot of connections working with someone who lets us on stage for sound check. And at that point, everyone's kind of getting in their seats. "Why are we on the stage right now?" And the audience is viewing us. And I don't know, they're like, "Come on, everyone, take a picture." So they have a picture of us all standing together being like, "Yeah." And Mad Apple is New York themed. Everything about it is New York. And so Brad and I were like, what if the real New York was New York, New York, Las Vegas?
"Yeah, you'll never get a better slice of than in New York, New York, Las Vegas."
Brad looks at me at one point during the night and he's like, "We have like another show immediately after this." And so we go to this thing called Particle Inc. in a warehouse behind like a caged in fence. And we walk through and there's a pile of garbage on the ground and a Muppet comes out of the trash and starts like telling us like what we're gonna see. It's like, "Oh, you're gonna see a lot of weird things in there." And we're like, "Okay, cool." And so we get in and it's like one of the most beautiful shows I've ever seen. They're using like lasers and lights as part of the storytelling. I cry and some guy proposes to his girlfriend right in front of us, and it was a beautiful moment for them, but then for us, we're like filming them while we're like tweaking out on drugs, being like, "Yeah, love wins." And then Scumbag Dad goes, "Hey, at 9 in the morning, I have to go on a helicopter and film one last scene, and I have room for one more person. I'll do it." And then we take a helicopter ride, and then I go to the airport and I fly home to the fake New York because that's where I lived at the time.
That wasn't as good,
and
but I got you.
We're doing it again next week, so.
Oh, this is it. This is when he's gonna murder us. He's gonna turn me into a couch or something. And he just like looked down the barrel and he said, "Hi, my name's Graham Barrett, and this is a story about the first time I ever did mushrooms and had to figure out how to transport a body across the border." So I was in LA, I was with my girlfriend. It was like post-lockdown, first vacation. We went to my friend's place. He owns a house that's on the top of this mountainside. What we ended up doing was just drinking a bunch of Snoop Dogg's wine. We were getting purple lipped with the Snoopy juice. He's really into cassette tapes. It's like sound effects ones. So we were like blasting whale noises from the 70s. Then around,
Sound effects cassette
10, 11
tapes.
p.m. rolls around. My friend brings out this little box. I finally caved in. Turns out Snoop Juice is a true serum or whatever. And I caved in. I said, fine, I'll do mushrooms. I'm always concerned that I'm just going to knock more screws loose in my brain than I already have. So I was very cautious. But so I took them and we carried on our night of listening to whale sounds and drinking that fine Snoop Juice. We ended up in this back patio overlooking. It was nighttime now. And his backyard is like uncut. So like, we were just like these old bingo men sitting in these sunken in lawn chairs. And the grass was like up to our shoulders, like eye line level, like I was some kind of tiger. Everything was kind of starting to get moving in my body. I was like, holy heck, this is luxury. You know, I'm up to my neck in jungle. I'm like covered in bugs, like so many bugs. They're in my hair. They're crawling up my sleeve. And I looked at the lights and they were pulsing. I'm not sure what they were. It felt like someone had pissed it.
So here's what I never told anybody about me retrying mushrooms. I didn't trip, okay, but I was starting to like see shit that first night. Because I ate a few more pieces. So I started with one piece. Then by the end of the show, I was on 3. And then I ate a couple more all over the course of maybe like an hour or so or something. Anyways, when I was driving home, I was like really paranoid, like driving like 10 and 2, like looking straight ahead, like looking and trying not to. There was nobody on the road. It's like 4 a.m. Nobody on the road but me. I'm like driving down the road. I'm looking. Well, on my way home, I passed an industrial park. And everything's closed, so the whole drive on the interstate has been black, right? But except for my headlights, didn't pass another car, didn't see another car, nothing. So when I like get like towards the industrial park, I'm listening to music, and it's like music like my dad liked, and I remember singing with him and singing along, and I got like a playlist going, like listen to music, and I'm driving, and I'm looking. Well, I look over at the industrial park, and there's lots over there. And I'm trying not to like swerve or nothing. Like I'm not trying to go to jail or die. So like I'm like driving down the road and I'm like, I really want to look at these lots, but I can't look at them too long. Okay. And I don't know how much time passed, but I was driving and I was looking at and I would look at this lot and I thought I was looking at the same lot, but it's hard to tell because they're like the same street lights, like every 40 feet or something. So I would look at this lot and I would get like hyper focused on it. It was almost like it was pixelated. Like I could see it so clearly. It was almost like it was little squares. And then it would get really fuzzy, like when you squint, like a really distant lot. It would get like really fuzzy, and then it would get like really back into focus, and then like really fuzzy, and like really back into focus. And I was trying to drive, and I was driving, like trying to be like a responsible adult with kids and shit, like driving down the road. So I would like look over for a second, and I would get that feeling. I would like look back and be like driving. At some point, the only thing, so I don't even know how to explain this. It won't make sense. At one point, now looking back on it, I can remember some different things. But at that point in time that I was doing this, I was like, man, I've been driving by these lights forever. I've been driving by these lights forever. Like, when am I going to pass this light? And I just kept remember like looking at it and then looking back and driving like hell, like trying to stay between the lines and like looking at it. Like I was like white knuckled. Because I was so afraid that this light was going to cause me to like wreck or like hit something or whatever. And like, I was like, what? Like onto the wheel. And I'm like, God, like I was getting anxious that I wasn't getting past these lights. Like it was starting to fucking tear me up. Like I felt like I was almost like trapped. Like I was getting like anxious. And then like in the middle of this, like I'm like looking at the lot, looking at the road, looking at the lot, looking at the road, looking at the lot, looking at the road, looking at the lot, looking at the road. Somewhere towards the end of this, it felt like it was 10 minutes. It was probably like a couple seconds. But like, I realized I had pulled over. Like the car was in park and everything. Now looking back on it, I'm almost positive that I saw the lot and thought that's cool and pulled over and stopped. Because like the car was in park and like the car was in park. I didn't have my foot on the brake or the gas. Like I was completely parked. But somehow the way it like stacked in my head, at the time I didn't remember pulling over at all. Like I was just like looking and I was so scared I was going to wreck or something. And like, then I was like, oh, I'm not even moving. But like looking back, I can almost remember like pulling over and being like, I'm going to look at that for a second. But the way it was like adding up in my head, it was like that portion wasn't in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when you completely forget, so like sometimes I'll like find my keys in a weird spot and be like, I didn't put my keys there. And then be like, oh yeah, I did. Because I went and did this, did that, and then put my keys. But it was like, it didn't add up when I was actively thinking of it. But by the time I got home, I was like, oh yeah, I remember pulling over because I wanted to look at the lot or whatever. But it didn't work at first. I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to get past these lots. I was so scared that I was just stuck driving past those lots forever. And that like time was going forward because the music was playing. It was just a weird night. I told Mariah and some people at the campground about it, but I didn't tell you guys. I didn't know if I could adequately explain it. I do fully remember pulling over, but not when I was doing all this shit. Like I don't remember it at all. But now I remember pulling over.
In my eye or something because I just couldn't. My eyes were constantly wet. It was around 5 a.m. We call an Uber. We leave our little whale noise location to go into what we thought was just going to be a normal car, and it turned out to be a Tesla. Now, I know this doesn't sound that crazy, but this was the first time me and my girlfriend had ever been in a Tesla. Those door handles are not meant for humans. I don't know why that instantly came to my thought, but I was like, this guy probably thinks I'm going to rob him, and I want to let him know I'm a chill dude. So I just yelled at him and like, I don't know how to do the door handle. So he let me in. Not one word was spoken. Me and my girlfriend looked at each other in fear because we felt that there was some tension here. That maybe this Uber driver was angry, he was going to murder us, we were going to be on some kind of podcast at some point. So we pull up to our Airbnb, and lo and behold, the cycle repeats. We don't know how to get out of this dang Tesla, and we're panicking because now it's a whole different mechanism. And eventually I was like, I just got to cut the air. I said, Mr. Uber driver, I am very sorry, but we are on mushrooms right now, and we have never been in a Tesla. You know that sound leather makes?
We are on mushrooms right now, and we have also never been in a Tesla.
When you like turn, he just like kind of did like a, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is when he's gonna murder us. He's gonna turn me into a couch or something. And he just like looked down the barrel and he said, press the button. And then we carried on our way. Apparently all you have to do is just press the button to get out of those dang cars, but you know. We get into the Airbnb, nice Airbnb, no complaints, 5 stars. And the mushrooms were now battling the Snoop Dogg juice in my stomach. So they were having a full-on fist fight. I was having the worst gut rot. You should have heard it. I was having the softest farts I have ever had in my life. They were just like no cheek, nothing. So my body and my mental state were at an all-time low, trying to just stay alive while trying to fall asleep. And then when I looked over, I saw that my girlfriend was like so asleep. And I mean like so asleep, to the point where I actually thought she was dead. In my head, I jumped from A to Z instantly. I didn't try and wake her up. I didn't like...
I've been high like that before and like jumped ahead. Like you just see somebody asleep and clearly they're asleep. And then like next thing you know, you're already like 3 years in the future, like telling people like, yeah, he was a good guy, but I wish he wouldn't have drank so much that night. He just passed out by the fire and died. You know, it's good to remember. I might come back and visit his grave every year. And I set up a foundation in his name for fucking low income kids to get scholarships into HVAC technician school. And you're like, what? What the? It's only been 2 minutes. And he's breathing. I can see him breathing.
Look at the breathing or anything. I was like, oh, great. She's dead. Great. And then I went through this whole narcissistic loop of like, okay, so lockdown happens and then we come to LA and now we can't even go to brunch anymore because you're dead. And what are we supposed to do with these Charlie X?
I think so. I've been high on like all kinds of shit that's made me do that. Like in my mind, like I don't say these things out loud, but in my mind, like I just assume that this has already happened and now... I'm going through like the day after, the week after, the year after. It's been 10 years now, and we're having this anniversary thing. Like,
CX tickets now. I'm not going to go by myself. I know like 2 songs. Why do we even get them? What the heck am I supposed to do with this body? How do I transport a human body back to Canada. Does Uber have a cleaning fee I have to pay for that? Is there a service that Uber does once we get the body to the airport? You know, I can't just put her in a wheelchair. That'll look bad. So what do I do? Just put her on the cart? Can she sit with me? Because I don't want to sit with someone else on the airplane, okay? I'd rather sit with a dead body. I don't want to sit with some loser. So now it's probably about 6:30 in the morning. The sun is basically up. I'm in my underwear, and I look really good in my underwear, you know? Like really jacked, if anyone is wondering. And I'm on the Air Canada website, Googling, can you transport a body with an economy ticket? Basically, I ended up falling back asleep, and the next day, me and my girlfriend ended up going for brunch. I guess the whole point of the story is, you know, if your friends are on mushrooms and they fell asleep, they're probably not dead. Probably.
Tales from the... Pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, guys. Don't drive by any lights tonight. And if you pull over, please remember to pull over safely. And you do not have to keep steering when your speed is actually 0. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for the donations that came in. I do appreciate it. Support the show while we're offline at coldbeer.fun. This is my full-time job, and we greatly appreciate any help that comes in. If you want to contribute to the show, keep it going, keep it free. Coldbeer.fund, coldbeer.fund. I'm going to be tripping this coming weekend, I think. I'm going to eat a whole fucking bar. But we're trying to get, I think Mariah's mom's going to watch the boys, and Mariah's going to babysit me. I probably won't be streaming that, but I'll let you know how it goes. We might do a Discord chat, maybe. I don't know. If there's too many people talking, I might get paranoid that I'm being abducted. But thank you guys for joining us. We'll see everybody on the next one. Have a good night. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Unless it involves mushrooms, then do it. Have a good night, everybody.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people on this.
I hope you get to feeling better and doing better, Jizzy McBride. I really do. I saw you talking in the comments earlier. I hope you get to feeling better.
Forking balls. You don't have balls.
Okay, Scott.
I'm not gonna do it on air. I just might do something like career ending. Like I can't stream it. Like there's just too much risk there. Like I might do something that legit gets me canceled. Dude, I saw the funniest racist joke the other day that's inappropriate, and now I'm afraid I'm going to get high and repeat it by accident and really get canceled.
Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit.
Join the Discord. You might see me high. Well, I mean, more high than I am on every show.
All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip, worshiping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit, swinging fucking meat hammers like fool in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong, starving for attention. I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your Huckleberry. I can quench that thirst. Baby.
Legend, you want to fly out and do mushrooms sometime or DMT or something? You and Austin, we just thought we'll stream it all. Will he bring Mort?
You get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buck.
You know, at some point, we've got to meet in the middle or something, even if it's just Austin, and I have to do a live with Mort.
Place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found.
There's just some. I don't share them with you guys because I don't like getting sad or being like a buzzkill or something. There's just like the reason it intrigues me so much is there are some answers and some things that I want explained to me. And whether it's real or not, whether it's my own psychosemantic bullshit coming, there's some stuff that I want to get answers to.
Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on.
Even more now that my parents aren't around anymore.
Oh, give me a. Oh my God. Damn it.
My dad tripped acid by accident one time. I think he told that story when he was on air, where he was at a buddy's house and they were moving furniture or something, and they were all hot and sweaty, and his buddy gave him a Coke, both a Coke. He opened it and gave him like a glass bottle Coke. And the guy said, "Hey, you guys, I got this new stuff. You want to try it? It's called acid."
Not yet.
And Dad's buddy, Mikey, was like, yeah, I might try it. And Dad's like, I don't know. I don't know if we can. And they finally talked my dad into it. And he's like, okay, I guess I'll do it. And he said, good, because you already did. It's in the Coke.
No damn research.
How shitty.
Copy 'em. Coxa came first, ninth inning, second string, and they acting like they know hitters. Assholes throwing bullshit, sending bronze to the shitter.
Mariah's gonna do a microdose while I fucking go to the center of the universe.
These parasites is leeches with all their secret meetings, teaching all you fucking cretins about baby eating heathens. Believing in reason with no meaning is bullshit. Will burn my.
I think he told that story when the time that I interviewed him, right? About tripping by accident. They were afraid to go home, so they went to the woods.
You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit.
I'm terrified of being in the woods, though. The only bad trip I've ever had was in the woods. And I felt like the trees were like trying to grab me. I ran through a thorn bush and was cut all to pieces. I ended up climbing a tree to get away from the trees. That's the only bad trip I've ever had was in the woods. The science, Kev, the science isn't fully in. You know, it's kind of a new thing, microdosing, but it seems like there's a lot of people. I would tell you this. The first dose I took was a microdose level, according to the back of the bar, the chocolate bar I got, was a microdose level. And I felt like I was 16-year-old again, driving around, listening to music, not a care in the world. It was like the best. Like anti-stress, anti-depression, anti-PTSD medication in the world. And I've been on a lot of strong medication. We'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye. Met the mushroom god. I thought it was bullshit. Oh, shit.